All right, hello everybody, and welcome to week 2 of the Dimes and Donuts podcast, your deep dive into the BAAD Owners Fantasy League matchups. I am your host, Garrett.
And I am Nick. So this week we actually changed the format a little bit, so there'd be no more running totals on the right side of the screen as we're going through the different matchups and players. All of those are going to be shown at the end. Throughout, while we're still talking about the players, we are going to still be indicating what BAAD Owners team currently owns them, which sounds really bad, but as like possession of them as a player.
Oh my god.
But
Yeah, 100%. So if you guys like this new format change, let us know in the comments. If you don't, let us know in the comments. And if you have any other ideas on how we can make this podcast better for you guys, we are all ears. So that being said, let's jump into our first match of the week. This is the Thursday night game, and on paper it looked great, and it ended up being great. So this was Kansas City beating the Los Angeles Chargers 27-24. Great quarterback matchup here. Nick, do you want to go into our first player?
Yeah, for sure. So first up, we have Justin Herbert, the most recent up-and-coming top-tier quarterback. 24.46 points, a fantastic week for Justin Herbert. Unfortunately, though, for the big TD Goth girls, he is looking like he has some sort of rib injury. So that's going to be something to be on the lookout moving forward. Not sure how that's going to, affect him for the rest of the season. Obviously, it's not like a career-ending industry, so long-term they're fine. Awesome pick still. But, let's see how this ends up affecting the big TD Goth girls season.
Yeah, still definitely a good pick. Great job, Justin Herbert, 24.46 points. Patrick Mahomes with only 17.3 points. I mean, you expect so much more from him. He was actually our best quarterback last week. He was the BAAD quarterback of the week. So took a bit of a drop off, but still Patrick Mahomes still putting up big points for Point Break.
And then we had Clyde Edwards-Helaire putting up a pretty strong showing of 15.8 points. It's good to see him having sort of bounced back this year. He's been kind of a bad hit for fantasy owners for the past few years, and it looks like he's putting in good work for Point Break so far this season.
Yeah, Mike Williams with 25.3 points. Great job by Mike Williams. Clearly that number one receiver. Clearly a great target for Justin Herbert. And, CD's nuts. Hopefully you have a good receiver here because, your namesake was not doing too hot the last 2 weeks. But at least you've got Mike Williams at 25.3 points.
Which is absolutely huge. But what is not huge is Juju Smith-Schuster's performance on the field. TikTok-wise, he is still blown out of the waters. Fantastic work. However, clearly Patrick Mahomes is not getting the hint and throwing towards him at all. So TD Love and Tudgay's tough break this week.
Yep, definitely. Yeah. Gerald Everett, tight end number 1 for the Los Angeles Chargers, going up against a tight end matchup in Travis Kelce. Putting up anywhere, above 10 points for a tight end is what you want to see. He got you 13. Not a bad showing at all.
Compared to Travis Kelce, who, like Garrett, like you were just saying, over 10 points is generally good for a tight end.
Not for him.
Not for Travis Kelce. I mean, with the amount of capital that you have to be able to put up in order to obtain Kelce, man, that is not what you want to be looking for out of your tight end.
Nope, and he was also our bad tight end of the week last week. He was the number 1 tight end and did not show it this week for sure. All right, so next we've got Nick Bolton, one of my players. I think he put up like 22 points last week, 15 this week, about what you expect from a linebacker. He is only 23 years old. He's so young. He's going to be great for years to come. Looking forward to Nick Bolton in the future.
This one was kind of a weird one to me. Joey Bosa with only 9 points, and we'll actually get into his, counterpart in a second, but the Chargers defensive line not putting up as many points as I would kind of expect from them. If anything, that might just be, a good sign for the Kansas City Chiefs offensive line. Might be something to look out for if you're playing the Chiefs and have any defensive linemen against them.
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, Khalil Mack, big name, big dude, big sack totals usually. Did not show it this week. When you're chasing, Patrick Mahomes around the field all day, it is tough. He's so crafty. He's got the biggest bag of tricks we've seen in the NFL, and he proves that against every defensive line he plays against.
And then Derwin James slamming in with 17 points. Do you get that?
I don't.
Well, in this game, he body slammed Travis Kelce into the ground.
Oh, I do remember that now.
Yep.
Yeah, that's good. That's a great reference.
Picked him up and slammed him on the ground. No points for that other than the tackle, unfortunately, but I'm curious if in the future we can, maybe do a bonus system.
Slamming and jamming. Love it. Justin Reed, linebacker with 10 points. It's underneath what you want, but still anything over that 10 mark from a defensive player is still okay. You're fine.
All right, and then to Sunday.
It's probably the most boring game of the week.
No. Oh, well, yeah, I would agree. I agree only because the other most boring game of the week actually ended up getting spicy, but we'll get into that when we get there. So, Patriots for Steelers, 17-14 Patriots. Yeah, nothing interesting at all going on in this game, but we'll still go ahead and tell you about how the fantasy players did.
Yeah, nothing interesting at all, especially if you are a Castle Rock Rockers fan. That's my team, again, if you didn't remember. Najee Harris, 13.9 points. He was the second player I've taken in bad owners. He was my second first-round pick, and he has... It's still... this decision haunts me, like, every single day. 13.9 points is fine. I thought that he was going to be the entire offense for them this year. And I think they just decided that instead of having him as their entire offense, they just weren't going to field an offense.
Yeah.
So, yeah, not great for me at all.
Yeah, but then, on... This surprised me a little bit, admittedly. Jacoby Myers with 18.5 points. I have not seen too many people talking about Patriots wide receivers fantasy-wise. I don't know if that's just me living under a rock, but 18.5 points is nothing to scoff at. So Clovers might have found themselves a bit of a sleeper. I don't know, more to come. We'll have to see.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to keep an eye on Jacoby. Deontay Johnson, wide receiver, still being thrown to by basically nobody. 13.7 points is fine. Nothing crazy.
Then on the defensive side of the ball, Cameron Hayward for the Cicadas, 11 points, average looking week. We'll have to see, if that means anything for him going forward, but nothing too interesting this week.
Yeah, not at all. Miles Jack, love Miles Jack, 18 points. I think this is his best showing this year. I think he had about half that last week, and I would just continue to watch this upswing with him. He's only going to get better as the season progresses. I know that the playoffs don't really matter in fantasy, but this guy gets into playing shape very, very quickly. Matthew Judon, linebacker, defensive line. You always want those players that have, that flexibility. 17 points. It's fine. It's great. Again, over 15 for a linebacker. We love that. There are only 3 New England Patriot players for bad owners this week. I think they might be the lowest in the league, and he's one of them.
And then Alex Highsmith, this guy, I believe, was a bad player of the week last week, correct?
He was a bad player of the week with 44 points.
And this week he was just a bad player with
right.
only 9 points.
Very good.
So, disappointing. But, with a floor and the potential like that, it happens.
Yep, he was Alex Lowe-Smith this week, if you will. All right, we've got Minkah Fitzpatrick coming up next with 17 points. He was also a bad player last week. I think he had 42. Somebody, correct me on that, but I think it was exactly 42.
40-something, for sure.
40-something, north of the 40s. So, yeah, for Alex Highsmith and Minkah Fitzpatrick, both bad players and both down, but Minkah,
but
17 points.
I mean, you can't be upset about 17 points from a DB.
Yeah, you're not really down. Unless, of course, you own Kyle Duggar.
Which, 2 points for the Flower Mound team. There is nothing good about that. I'm curious if they're even going to keep him in next week. I don't know exactly what happened there, but poor performance out of that.
Yeah, we could see maybe only 2 Patriots players fielded in the Bad Owners League if somebody gets rid of Kyle Duggar.
Legitimately. I mean, the Patriots are just not putting up the fantasy numbers that you're looking for.
Nope, not at all.
And then into a game happening at the exact same time, the Panthers versus Giants, which was definitely a much more interesting game.
Yeah, definitely interesting. I didn't think the Giants were going to be a game that I was going to be circling this season. I know they played probably the worst teams in the league starting the season, but that being said, I love watching New York fans get their hopes up and then them being dashed. So excited for that, but also excited to see I love this defense. I really do, and we'll get into that later. But let's see what we got up in the pipeline.
All right, now we have the, sort of.
So
it
Matt,
feels like the past 5 years face of fantasy football, even when he's hurt. Christian McCaffrey, 16.8 points. It's weird. Like, whenever you see Christian McCaffrey in 16.8 points, it feels like he did poorly.
feels like he just gutted you.
But if anything, I mean, I think that just goes to show how good of a fantasy prospect he is, because that's his, like, absolute floor.
Totally.
He doesn't get any lower than that, of course, unless he's hurt or not playing or anything. But, I mean,
which happens regularly.
It does happen regularly, which is the problem, right? But, he's healthy right now, and he's looking great with Baker, so we'll see what happens.
Yep. We will follow your career with great interest this year. Saquon Barkley.
The 2017 running back tandem right there.
That's right. We are absolutely ripping through all of our bad players, too. Saquon Barkley with a crazy comeback last week playing the Titans. Bad player. He was the best running back in the league last week, and this week, 11.8 points. This is honestly what I expected to see from Saquon this season.
100%. I mean, I don't think that this is even a bad showing for him, considering his team and what he's been the past few years. That's why I think last week shocked me, and I was getting nervous, but as a non-Saquon Barkley owner, I'm happy to see him come back down to 11.8 points for sure.
Definitely. Yeah, next we got DJ Moore, 13.3 points. You are on the worst offense in the league, and you're still putting up 13.3 points. Baker Mayfield is throwing to you, right? If you've got DJ Moore, you're fine. He's going to be a number one target. 13.3 points is fine for the Irving Indica.
Then Brian Burns for my team. Man, 28 points, putting up, I think it was 1 sack and then just a ton of tackles. Might have been 2 sacks. But absolutely dominated that Giants front line. Was putting so much pressure throughout the whole game. It was fantastic to watch. I'm so excited for it.
Would you say they felt the burn?
Boo.
All right, Leonard Williams, 3 points. He felt the burn on his side.
For sure.
3 points for a defensive lineman is terrible. It's terrible, and it stinks. Flower Mound team is definitely going to have to rethink maybe
That's
him next week.
2 low points for the Flower Mound team so far.
Yeah, no, it was a tough week in this game for sure.
Then Xavier Woods, 15 points as a DB. I mean, that's what you're looking for, right?
Yep.
It's on the higher end of what you kind of want on a week-to-week basis, especially from one of your, better DBs, but not absolute breakout top 10 superstars. Great showing, great week. I think he's been being pretty consistent for him.
Did you say Xavier or Xavier?
I said Xavier.
Okay, I need some practice because the player I'm going to talk about is Xavier/Xavier McKinney.
Well, I mean, I feel like it's... Well, I was going to say it's personal preference, but it's a name, so there's no personal preference.
It's actually his personal preference then.
Yeah, no,
right.
exactly.
It's not ours. So, Xavier, reach out to us if we're saying your names wrong. Xavier McKinney, defensive back, 14 points. Just like the other Xavier with 15. You're fine. Probably a little over your projected, but not incredible.
Jeremy Chin. This is kind of surprising me. Only 8 points. I am very high on Jeremy Chin. He's, of course, free safety of the Panthers. I think he's a fantastic player. I think that 8 points is low for him. He's going to get higher numbers. He's going to perform better throughout each week. Although 8 points is, look, you can't be too upset about an 8-point showing. It's low, but it's not lose you the week.
Yeah, I think it's tough because he's played 2 of the worst offenses in football and still put up pretty poor numbers. So,
and that's definitely a fair point. That is something to be concerned about.
Yeah, 100% moving forward. Next, we're going to go into a crazy game. Like, the Joe Flacco supporters, like, for the dozen of you that are still out there, like, this was an awesome game for you guys to watch. Seeing your quarterback just absolutely turn it on in the last 2 minutes of the ball game.
And I have Joe Flacco, but I didn't play him this week, and I regret it. So that's sad.
You should almost never regret not playing Joe Flacco because it's kind of like if you win the lottery, you didn't expect. I mean...
No, that's true, but it was him or Mariota, so...
That is tough, actually. Okay, gotcha. Well, Nick Chubb, you are our bad running back of the week. 32.3 points. Went on an absolute tear. absolute tear. And I know because I have Kareem Hunt, and he did not. And I was like, what's going on? What's going on in this game?
But it looks like they were just giving it to the number one.
Yep, Nick Chubb went absolutely off of the Flower Mound team, which is good because they had, a couple really, really low scores going forward.
And then Breece Hall, the rookie running back sensation, owned by Irving Indica, 13 points. I don't know how I feel about this. I think that especially with a running back, not putting up crazy numbers your first year is actually a bit of a cause of concern as far as long-term fantasy value.
Yeah.
It seems like your rookie year, your sophomore year, those are really when you need to be putting up those numbers if you're going to be, making it long-term as a fantasy star.
Right, and the Jets offense didn't really get going until, like I said, the last quarter and then 2 minutes of the game. And when you're in those crunch time moments, the running back does not get a lot of touches. So kind of makes sense for Breece Hall. Michael Carter, the other running back, 10 points, probably why Breece only scored 13. The issue these days with running back rooms is that they are so split, and you're going to split carries. So if you do find somebody that is really the dominant force in that room, so much better than having somebody like Michael Carter.
Speaking of the epitome of a split backfield, here's your Kareem Hunt running back. I mean, the Browns have so many running backs. So many running backs right now. I think it's like they have 4 that they rotate through.
Are you just trying to piss me off?
I mean, that would be a bonus.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, seriously, I'm shocked that Nick Chubb was able to score that many points with that much competition for touches. But, I mean, Kareem Hunt, 9.4 points.
Sure. I'm hoping it's like a black and white thing where next week he's going to go off. Then it's to be like Nick Chubb goes off. Because last week Kareem Hunt did way better than Nick Chubb. He was finding the end zone the entire game. So hopefully he hunts down more touchdowns next week.
Amari Cooper, 25.1 points for the Flower Mound team. I mean, fantastic. It looks like he's really jiving with the Browns offense. He's of course a pickup for the Browns just this season. So whenever there's, that sort of change of environment, you never really know how the players are going to perform fantasy-wise. Different quarterback throwing to them, different scheme. But, I mean, if this game's anything to go off of, Amari Cooper is in for a ride.
Yeah, definitely coming into his own on his new team. Elijah Moore, 6.5 points. You are not gelling well with the Jets right now.
No, but a lot of people are are holding out for the Elijah Moore breakout.
Yeah, I know at least one person that is, the Irving Indica.
And they are not feeling it.
Yeah, they're not feeling it yet. Hopefully they do soon, though.
Oof. Myles Garrett. Oof. He hopefully kept his helmet on his head this week, but was still only able to score 12 points for the Big TD Goth girls.
How crazy was that? I'm sorry, you just sidetracked me. He took his helmet off and tried to kill somebody.
Well,
what if he had killed somebody? Myles Garrett could very well be locked up in prison for the rest of his life right now. But he's still playing football and kicking absolute ass. This week, had a bit of an injury. He's not going to play in week 3. So only 12 points. Not great for the Big TD Goth girls, but you still have the Defensive Player of the Year and a Defensive Player of the Year candidate for years to come.
And then Jeremiah, oh man, how do you pronounce this guy?
I always said Owusa Koramoah.
Well, that one, I apologize, I have no idea how to pronounce that properly. Jeremiah Owusa Koramoah, with an amazing week for Point Break.
Yep.
24 points from a linebacker is what you're kind of looking for out of your, huge weeks. These are your winners right here. And boy, did he put it up. 24 points against the Jets, which sounds funny at first because you'd think it's the Jets, but the Jets aren't looking too bad this year, if you ask me. Honestly.
Their offense is cooking.
Yeah, 100%, and he put it up against their offense, so big props to him.
Yeah, 100%. 24 points. Love it. Anthony Walker, same. Linebacker room, if you're getting over 15 points, you are A-okay in my book. If you were on my team, and I'm sure the Big TD Goth girls can attest to that as well.
Definitely, and then CJ Mosley. Mosley or Mosley?
Mosley.
I don't think that's right.
I think it's CJ Mosley.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, well, CJ Mosley.
I had no idea. idea.
Okay, so 12 points. That is a little bit low, like you said, under that 15-point sort of range that you really want out of your linebackers. But it's not a weak loser, so especially with Anthony Walker doing so well for you in this game, Big TD Goth Girls can't be too upset at their linebacker room, I don't think. But, could always be better.
Definitely. Quincy Williams, same thing, but for me, if you're a defensive player and you score 9.9 points, I still hate you for that week. Like, I need 10 points from every player on my roster, or I feel like, I don't know, you just completely betrayed me. So Quincy Williams for CD's nuts, only 9 points.
It's funny because right now I'm just begging for 10 points from my defensive players. So.
You are begging for a lot from a lot of people.
100%. And then John Johnson.
What a name.
The only, yeah, honestly. The only DB that was actually played this week in the Bad Owners League from this game, of course. Yeah, right, from this game. It'd be shocking if it was the only DB played.
Yeah,
that would be weird.
I actually played him in my IDP slot this week. I don't remember who I took out, but I just picked somebody off waivers, and he's actually going to be gone.
Oh, all right.
So we would have 0 DBs if it was not for that last-minute decision. John Johnson, 14 points. Like I just said, you score over 10 for me, you're fine. I do not see the home run potential in you yet, but you're still on my team. You're not getting cut.
There you go. And then Jags versus Colts with the shutout. This is the first donut of a team so far.
That's right. Let's ride.
I don't know if I was expecting that, especially this early, but there you go.
If you were going to expect it, though, it would be this freaking matchup.
It's so
funny.
You could
have not paid me to watch a Jacksonville Jaguars, Indianapolis Colts game, especially if you told me the final score. And if it was going to be any team this week or this season that was going to get shut out first, it was probably going to be the Colts.
The Jags 100% have the Colts number 2. I think it's like they beat them the last 8 times they've met. It's crazy.
So weird. Division opponents, too. Like, they see each other so much.
Oh, man, that just makes it so much worse.
It's so gross.
And then, so for the Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence, the young prodigy who still just quite hasn't broken out fantasy-wise, although he's looking way better, in real life, which is, of course, always a good indicator for future success in fantasy, which is all that we really care about.
Definitely.
18.5 points for Point Break. I like it.
I think it's fine. I think the Christian Kirk edition this year is really going to help him out, and it helped Christian Kirk out as well. But again, I'm so disappointed with Trevor Lawrence, but it's only because his ceiling was so high. Like, there wasn't a ceiling. Everybody hyped this man up.
Yeah.
So much.
My thing is, I think he's moving in the right direction.
I'm not even saying it's his
fault.
fault.
Right. Yeah. No, 100%. And with a quarterback like this, that's what you want, especially with his age. Point Break, of course, probably understood that this was a bit more of a developmental pickup.
Yeah.
And looking for that long-term value, right? So this is, honestly...
It was a developmental pickup, but it was a very, very high pick.
True.
He's got Dougie P in the room now, though. I mean, if there's any good quarterback guru out there, it's probably the guy that won a Super Bowl with a backup. So I'm very excited to see that coach quarterback room.
Oh, man.
He was an MVP.
We were actually just talking about this. Matt Ryan, fall from grace. Oh my gosh. I know that they didn't have their number 1 wide receiver, but you cannot put up 0 points against the Jaguars.
Against the Jaguars.
I mean, that's embarrassing. 3.8 points for Matt Ryan. Complete dud. It's not a donut technically, but I mean, seriously, for a quarterback, it might as well have been. That's tough for the Flower Mound team, and yikes. That's all I have to say.
Yep, lowest this year. James Robinson, running back, 15.8 points. Totally fine. For the running back room in Jacksonville, I think they're still trying to find that guy, that star. Unless, I guess you could say it's ETN, but
I
don't know.
What I'm shocked about James Robinson is he's coming back from an ACL tear. And so I'll say, me personally, I didn't think he was going to have it anymore.
Right.
That's why I was so high on Etienne this season, because I thought, okay, James Robinson, Etienne, they're going to do a little bit of a transition phase, and James Robinson's, it's going to have a few more years and be out. But,
Sure.
Everything we've seen so far, he's been doing fantastic. I don't know what they gave him during rehab, but...
Maybe some of that indica, because Irving Indica has been hitting on a lot of their
100%.
players. Absolutely going off. Naheem Hines. I just 9.7 points. I would kill for that, right? The Rockers need somebody that could put up 9.7 points every week, but I think the rest of the league is doing a great job with their running back picks, and Naheem Hines just did not have it this week.
Well, you say that, but I have Edian, like I said. Super hound him, 8.3 points. I don't hate the pick still. It's his sophomore season, but he was out all of last year. Yeah. So this is really his first year getting actual NFL experience, aside from like practice. But James Robinson doing so well is honestly freaking me out a little bit. So I don't know. I'm a little nervous about that.
Yeah, we'll see. Not as nervous as the Flower Mound team is probably feeling right now. Jonathan Taylor, if you're in a one-year fantasy, going number one makes a lot of sense.
Yep, I took him number one in my redraft league,
which is fine. I think even last week he did really well.
Huge, yeah.
Yeah, so to have 7.3 points, I mean, you got shut out, which means you probably weren't passing, the 30, 40-yard line. I don't think they got into the red zone once.
It was so bad.
It was just such a bad week for Jonathan, for Matt, for everybody that had to be associated there. And for the Flower Mound team. Man, they just had a lot of
dubs.
Yeah, especially in the noon games.
But who didn't miss is Christian Kirk. Now, I chose him, and I'm very happy with this because...
A player you're happy with?
Oh, 100%.
Okay.
It's not common on my roster right now.
No, not yet.
But he is putting up some serious numbers, and he's really starting to show that he is Trevor Lawrence's number one. Newest wide receiver sort of addition, like number one wide receiver addition. Huge, news and drama in the offseason. Christian Kirk kind of reset the market, being, paid, I think it was like $18 million a year or something like that.
It was crazy.
$17 million a year.
I think everybody woke up that morning and was like, okay, now it's open season. If Christian Kirk is getting that much, then we have clearly been undervaluing the wide receiver position for a long time.
Exactly. But it's working for the Jags. I mean, Trevor Lawrence is looking better. Kirk's putting up huge numbers, and they crushed the Colts. So.
Yeah, even last week against the Commanders, I think is who they played.
Yeah.
I think so. That was like a 24-22 game, and Christian Kirk was doing well too. So, yeah.
Paris Campbell with a donut for the big TD Goth girls at the wide receiver position.
Do you know who this is?
He's on the screen.
I don't know who this is.
Paris Campbell. It's a wide receiver for the Colts.
Okay.
So actually, here's the thing. He is the wide receiver one on their depth chart this week.
Well, yeah, because
Michael Pittman Jr. is out.
Yeah.
That's all we have to say on that. Anyways, DeForest Buckner.
Oh my gosh. I want you to get traded so bad. I think your team is about to blow everything up after this season. They can't keep recycling these old quarterbacks in and thinking that the room and the players around them are going to do anything. I hope somebody pays a bunch of picks for you and you get to shine on a defensive line that maybe has somebody else. But yeah, not a great week this week.
Not at all. But the Jags defense did fantastic. Obviously, they kept him to 0 points.
Duval.
But Devin Lloyd, 24 points for the Clovers. What else is there to say? I mean, 0 points in, giving up 24 points for your linebacker. And not just Devin Lloyd, but also Josh Allen. No, not that Josh Allen.
The better one.
Well.
Hey, Saxonville is back, baby. And there's a new Josh Allen in town.
100%. I mean, I can't deny that. So, 24 points for him as well. Absolutely tearing up the Colts. It was so bad.
It was the worst game. Bobby Okereke?
Bobby. But yeah, you got the last name.
I said Bobby.
I think you said Bobby.
No, I did not say Bobby.
Right,
yeah, Bobby Okereke. We're going to say it's Okereke. Flower Mound team needed somebody to bounce back, and they did in a good way. 22 points for a linebacker. That's incredible. I
mean, especially for a week that the rest of his team did so poorly. It's kind of nice to see at least someone was having a good week on the Colts
lot
side.
Of people in this. Yeah, very interesting. I like it.
And then,
say it.
as many people as
say his name. Don't avoid it. Try it. Sound it out.
Boy said, oh man, this is so bad. We need one of those media pronunciation guides.
I'm going to say Foyesade Olokun.
When you say it, like Oluokun.
It could be Oluokun.
Yeah, we need one of those media pronunciation guides. But 12 points I mean, there's so many points going around this Jags defense. 12 points is just, the very bottom of the barrel. Pretty good week for the Jags.
Travon Walker.
Much more common name. Kind of shocked he had so few points.
Not everybody can eat.
True. But
especially in a blowout, right? Like, they're doing nothing. They're probably getting off the field every 4 plays, right? And they're getting that many points. Yeah, definitely fine for Travon Walker. Thanks for the name, by the way. Your team is killing us. Anymore. Also a good name for us to say, but if you have a single digit in front of you as a defensive back, linebacker, or defensive lineman.
Really anyone, though. Any position, really.
I guess any tight end.
I mean, tight end, I really want you to have more than 10 points.
Oh my gosh.
Like, if you
I
ride
expect so little from tight end.
See, my thing is, if you're riding a tight end with over 10 points, you are cruising for that season.
Yeah, over 10.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, you're kicking it into
Yeah,
gear.
exactly. It's awesome.
100%.
Oh my gosh. The most exciting game of the week.
Easily.
I mean,
It's not even close, right?
nothing. Not
Even
even.
that Thursday night game, which was like really,
It was a
really
great
fun.
game. Not as exciting.
Right, no, this was like an absolute S show. Like, the Thursday night game was great because you saw 2 great teams. This was great because you saw 2. I mean, I guess they're pretty good.
teams.
Actually, pretty good teams.
Pretty good teams. I mean, I was jumping up. I was freaking out watching this game. But let's just hop
sure
right
you
into
were,
it.
yeah.
100%.
Oh my gosh.
So, bad quarterback of the week.
Oh.
Why does that say DB?
You know how, like, people used to call Lamar Jackson a running back?
Yeah,
and then he
like
had to tweet out, "Oh, I'm not a running back anymore." Well, I'm trying to start the Lamar Jackson defensive back thing so that he gets us publicity by saying, "Oh, I'm not a DB anymore."
The funny thing is,
It's kind of built like a DB. Like, if you lined him up as a defensive back, nobody would look at him.
well, you know what else he's built like? The absolute best quarterback of this week in fantasy, 41.62 points. Watching this game, I feel bad for the Ravens that they didn't give him $260 million guaranteed in this offseason because they are going to have to throw the whole cap at him if they want to keep him.
They better win the Super Bowl this year. I mean, their pockets are going to be hurting. They have so many people that are coming. They already cut Hollywood, and I thought that was going to be a big deal.
Well, he actually wanted to leave.
Yeah, but thank God.
No, 100%.
What were they supposed to do? I mean, they can't,
Totally
especially
agree.
after Christian Kirk. Oh my gosh. Man, he was so close.
And then Tua, the left-handed DB. Again, you know what's going on here.
He's the left-handed defensive back. No, he's a quarterback, obviously. He threw 6 touchdowns, Nick.
It was awesome. It was
6 touchdowns.
And he looked amazing doing it. It was awesome to watch it happen, especially just. I have always kind of liked Tua, just as like a prospect. There's just something about it. I don't know what it is, and so it felt good to watch him just absolutely pop off and shut everyone up.
I'll tell you what it is. It's like if he doesn't have like the craziest wide receiver room in the league, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, then he's not going to go off. Clearly, he needed them to get better, and that's fine. A lot of quarterbacks need, great wide receivers to get contracts. Look at Dak and Amari. It happens. I'm happy that like he gets to show us who he can be with more talent around him.
Definitely.
Yeah, 40.86 points. If he wasn't playing against Lamar Jackson, he probably would have been our bad quarterback of the week. He would have been, yeah.
And then Chase Edmonds, the running back of Miami.
You did not want to be a running back in this game.
Absolutely not. I mean, just look at the score. That was not a running-based game.
No.
It looked like a Big 12 game with all the air raid going on.
Yeah.
Like, seriously. But 5.1 points. I don't know how I feel for the Cicadas on this one. It's either one, it was just a case of the matchup this week being an absolute air raid fest.
What do you think is going to happen with the Dolphins offense all year?
And that's what I was about to say. With Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, running backs on the Dolphins might be something you want to stay away from this season.
Yeah, hopefully he chases down more points next week.
But you know who's not going to... He's not going to gain any more points next. If he gets more points than 44, Tyreek Hill is going to be one of the greatest trades. It was a trade, right? I believe it was a trade, not a free agent signing, if I'm remembering correctly.
I think that's right.
Regardless, one of the greatest additions to the Dolphins. Oh my gosh. So
I think he would have done this to any team, though, too.
The crazy thing to me is, so I was, of course, playing against Tyreek Hill this week.
That sucks.
It didn't for a long time, though.
No.
Because he wasn't really getting any targets, wasn't getting too much action early on in the game until the very end when Tua and Tyreek decided to destroy my life. I was actually playing against both Tua and Tyreek. The TD Love and Tudgays with both of them decided, hey, Nick, you're having a good Sunday. Let's end that for you.
Yeah, all my homies hate the Tudgays. They went off 44 points for Tyreek and 42.1 for Jalen Waddle. Now, a lot of people liked the gritty 2 seasons ago. They thought that was a fun dance, thought it was interesting. The Waddle is so much better.
I love it.
Because it's just so funny.
It's fun.
It's just so, like, it gives me, like, Icky Shuffle vibes, where it's like everybody knows what he's doing is stupid, but, like, it's perfect. It's amazing. I don't know. Just being a Dolphins fan right now has to be so exciting.
100%.
Like, I thought about that, as, fans of the team that I'm. Oh my gosh.
Any excuse to waddle around and watch your receivers get absolute insane amount of points is a great time to me. But, Rashad Bateman, 20.8 points, receiver for the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, receiver, man. If you had wide receiver on the depth chart in front of your name, you were getting points.
The funny thing is, the 20.8, which is a fantastic point total, does not look good compared to Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle after just going from both of them. But 20.8 points is still fantastic.
Because their quarterback doesn't even need them. That's the crazy part. Like, Lamar does it on his own.
He's insane. He's a total
He was the entire
nature.
Offense. And that's why, like, you look at Devin Duvernay, right? Wide receiver, 12.2 points after, his other teammates had, numbers in the 20s, like Mark Andrews and Rashad Bateman.
Yep.
Like, he still gets 12.2 points with Lamar running for over 100 yards and a touchdown as well. Like, that room is insane right now.
Yeah, and then speaking of Mark Andrews, he's actually our bad tight end of the week.
He's terrible.
With 25.7 points for the Atlanta Cicadas. Oh, Mark Andrews is going to be such a strong dynasty asset for so long. I mean, you don't get... seriously, there's only ever 2 at max 3 powerful, strong fantasy tight ends at a single time. Mm-hmm. Mark Andrews is going to be one for a very long time. Incredible.
Well, last week it was Travis Kelce, who was our, bad tight end of the week. He had scored, I think it was like 26 points, something like that. Which is so, it's either going to be Mark Andrews, Travis Kelce, or some other dude randomly every week.
Well,
because
George Kittle on occasion.
Yeah,
they're going
to be on bye weeks. That's the only reason they're not going to be up here. In my opinion, it's going to be crazy. But Kittle's great too. Patrick Queen, linebacker with 9 points, under 10. Nobody was tackling anybody this game, but just walk this one off.
Well, except for Marcus Williams, who was our bad DB of the week.
Well, yeah, he wasn't tackling anybody, though.
Well, he was tackling the ball.
Yeah, he was tackling the ball. Yeah, Tua had 6 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. And Marcus Williams had 2 of those interceptions.
An absolute menace. I for like a little bit there, I thought Tua was going to start crying. But then he just decided to hang 40 points on all of us.
No Tua tears. But yeah, no, Marcus Williams, I think he leads the league in interceptions, and I don't think it's really that close yet.
Well, it's only week 2, so we'll see how that progresses throughout the season. But yeah, for sure, right now he's an absolute ball hawk. Then Chuck Clark, it's again 12 points is good. It doesn't look as good right after going after your teammate Marcus Williams, who's just been absolutely tearing it up. But the Clovers have a pretty safe DB in Chuck Clark.
Yep, definitely safe. I would also say that Marlon Humphrey's going to be safe. Mm-hmm. I think that room is probably feeling pretty gassed right now, chasing Tyreek and Jalen Waddle across the field all day. So to put up 11, hopefully you boys walk that off, and the Atlanta Cicadas will do better next week.
And hopefully this is just a case of having faced Lamar Jackson.
Yep.
But 6 points for Brandon Jones, and then actually 4 points for Jevon Holland. Javon?
No one would ever name their kid Jevon.
Well, I don't know. No, right?
You don't know Jevon Holland?
No, I know Jevon Holland. He's on my team. I thought it was pronounced Jevon. I've always read his name. I guess I've never heard anyone say it.
I don't even know who Jevon Holland is. So,
he's a pretty good DB from Miami. I like
sure?
him. 100%.
Yeah, okay. You just had a bad week.
100%. Holland is fantastic.
That was a tough game.
I like him, but I think,
Yeah, I know you were as glued to this game as a lot of people were in the back half, but do you want to talk about this real quick?
100%.
Yeah.
So the start of this game was looking like the absolute worst game of this noon slot. It was terrible. I was honestly kind of shocked because it was Jameis Winston versus Tom Brady and no one was scoring.
Yeah, that is weird.
But then things got heated up a little bit when, the little clash, right? The brawl. Everyone saw it. Everyone's talking about it. We can go into a little more details on kind of the fallout of it as certain players come up because everyone's, of course, going to be talked about. But let's just hop right into it with Tom Brady.
Man, you got to figure it out at home, Tom. Like, just go up there, talk to her, say, listen, this is the last season. I swear at this time, I know I have no trust left because of what I did to you this offseason, but you cannot keep fighting with Giselle because it is honestly the surfaces are the ones that are taking the brunt of this, right?
And the cicadas are begging for it.
Oh my gosh, the cicadas need you, Tom. Okay, think about the children, right? You need to kiss the cicadas on the lips right now with some points. 8.4 points, Tom, in a win. I love like his press conferences. Like, I'm all about winning. It's not about personal stats. It's not about blah blah blah.
To be fair,
that's been his whole life, though.
100%. I mean, I think that Tom Brady historically, the past season, right, and maybe the past 2 seasons have been a bit of an exception. He's never been a strong fantasy quarterback.
Nope.
But you know,
the last 2, he was one of the strongest.
He was doing
MVP
fantastic.
candidate.
I mean, just look at the weapons around him, though. The last 2 seasons, incredible. This season, not so much.
People are hurt, and now they're getting suspended.
Yep. Which, here's Leonard Fournette, not suspended, at least as of right now.
55-year-old Leonard Fournette.
Right.
Yeah.
He looks so old.
He's always been old. Yeah. He had I think he had a 3-year-old kid, in college.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, our Louisiana boy, playing in Tampa Bay, 9.4 points for Leonard Fournette. It's fine. I guess in this game, there wasn't too much damage done anywhere. So getting 9.4 out of there, scraping away with that is fine.
Other than, of course, can't guard Mike. 18.5
Can't
points.
Guard Mike.
He seriously.
I forgot he was in the league.
Last week he played incredible.
Yeah.
This week he's playing fantastic again.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Thomas is back in fantasy form.
Isn't that weird? It's
Seriously.
been he's been MIA for 2 years.
Okay, ready? Christian McCaffrey's back. Saquon Barkley's back. Michael Thomas is back.
Oh my
What
gosh.
year is it in fantasy? I'm confused.
Yeah, we definitely hopped in a wayback machine. But 18.5 points for, what did you call him? Can't guard Mike?
That's his.
That's
his social media handles.
Oh my gosh, you follow Michael Thomas on social media. Jarvis Landry, I respect the fact that you wore the net gator in your ESPN profile photo. Other than that, 6.5 points. I'm not even talking about you.
But who we definitely are talking about, Mike Evans.
He looks just so happy to be here.
That's his mugshot from his booking.
What did he do?
Because he is suspended next week. Yes, I know. For absolutely blindsiding
Marshawn
Lattimore.
Yeah.
So, just a quick tangent here, right?
Oh.
Wow.
Go off, dude. That was a great
seriously. It's sort of the talk of everything. Everyone's heard it. Tom Brady got into a bit of a verbal scuffle with Marshawn Lattimore. Mike Evans needing absolutely zero reason to hate Lattimore because they've hated each other with a passion for the past few years. Runs full speed and just absolutely clocks Lattimore without him being able to see him. Lattimore goes flying. Benches.
Such a cheap shot.
Oh, 100%.
I have no problem with defending your quarterback, even if it's Tom Brady, right?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
It's just, I don't know. Do it I don't like the toxic masculinity of it, but do it like a man. Maybe wait until it's just you also don't want people to get injured, right? What if
That's
somebody
my issue.
pushed you in the back? The fans don't want to see Marshawn Lattimore injured, and they don't want to see you suspended either, Mike. Especially not for the Green Bay matchup next week. And now you're not going to be a part of it. Thanks a lot.
I'm all for receivers and DBs getting at it. It's what they do. They're both the biggest diva personalities on the field.
Yep.
But don't do it like that. That's just, you're just going to hurt people. Man.
Let me
Taysom
talk about
Hill.
this.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. Taysom Hill. Point Break, we are actually going to give you a bit of an intervention here. So you have Travis Kelce. He is your tight end. Taysom Hill, he's not that guy. He is not that guy, pal. You need to put Travis Kelce back in at your tight end slot so that you can free up, one of those flex spots for somebody that's not Taysom Hill.
Well, so Travis Kelce was in their flex. Is in their tight end spot. Taysom Hill was the flex this week.
That's even crazier. You don't need to do this, right? Like, you don't need to do this. Like he got 1.4 points more than you did.
Do you know what would be crazy, though? Legitimate potential strategy here.
Well, last week he got
Jameis Winston
points.
was coming into the game with a broken back.
No
Taysom
way.
Hill is the
way
backup
this
quarterback.
was a 1,000 IQ play.
If
I don't see it.
Jameis
happening.
Winston has to leave in the
Nope.
first quarter and
Nope.
Taysom Hill comes in as the backup QB, you just snuck a quarterback into the flex spot?
You could have 3 quarterbacks.
Absolutely. This had the potential of being the biggest brain play of the week that unfortunately did not pay off.
I take it all back. Like, honestly, just for how awesome it would be to say, oh, how'd your fantasy team do this week? Oh, well, I had 3 quarterbacks. I would have lost my mind.
That would have been awesome.
Yeah, fair enough. That's very interesting. I love that. Cam Jordan, best throw in the game.
Absolutely. Now that, Kaepernick hasn't been in the league for forever, someone has to take on the mantle.
Rip.
It's not just Cameron Jordan going for it. Kyler Murray's also competing.
Is he growing the throw?
I don't know if you saw that during that game. We can talk about that later, but
Okay, cool.
absolutely.
Yeah, 6 points for Cam Jordan. Big TD Golf Girls. Still, Cam Jordan's great. I wouldn't worry about a 6-point week. I think he was much better last week.
Yeah, for sure. And Indica, definitely don't worry about the bad linebacker of the week being on your
bad
team.
boy.
Devin White with 33 points. Absolutely crushed the Saints.
Yeah.
What is there else to say? This was a hugely defensive game, and I think you're definitely going to see that in the point totals. Because up next from the Buccaneers,
Shaq Barrett.
with 32 points,
32 big
being
ones.
your defensive line bad player of the week.
You got 2 bad players going up against Jameis that game.
Yeah. I don't know if that says more about the Bucs defense as a whole, which is a very strong defense, or about how poorly the Saints actually performed this week.
Yeah, Tom is thanking them so much this week because
Huge fail.
Tom Brady was 0-4 against the Saints in the regular season going into this game. It was like the only team that he could not get the monkey off of his back. And I think for the longest time at the beginning of this game, I was like, please let a team beat Tom Brady 5 times in a row because it's never happened.
He's so funny.
It would have been awesome, but yeah, they bailed you out. Levante David, he is a member of the Castle Rock Rockers. He's been fine, both weeks. I think he had 15 points last week and 16 this week. So, yeah, not great, not bad. Love it.
Demario Davis,
Durag Davis.
Saints, staple right there. 13 points is honestly, like we were saying, it's decent, but it's a little low for him. Although he is, I believe, getting pretty up there in age. So
He's not a young man anymore.
You might start seeing that sort of fall off, but he's an amazing linebacker.
Antoine Winfield, also for the big TD Golf Girls. Had a lot of players.
Oh yeah, he had a lot of players in this game. What is that? Let's see.
That's 4.
Yeah, 4.
Yeah, Mike
players.
Evans, Cam Jordan, Demario Davis, and Antoine Winfield. And, with, 3 of those being on the defense? I mean,
That's a pretty good...
it's not bad. Antoine Winfield did really, really well for you this week. DB with 20 points. Again, double what you expect from a lot of middling DBs. Not saying Antoine Winfield is a middling DB, but yeah, it's still a great point total for you there.
Logan Ryan.
He's mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
10 points.
Yeah, he's actually going to get flexed out this week as well.
Yeah.
But still fine. I guess you would expect when, again, the rest of the defense is popping off that, one of your players could, but it's just not what happened.
Marcus May, 7 points. Not too interesting. A little bit lower than what you'd expect, especially with how low scoring the game was for a very long time. But
Yeah, Marcus, may you score more points next week.
Marshawn Lattimore.
Only 6 points?
Wow. The funny thing is...
He wasn't ejected, was he?
No, he was... Oh, yes, he was.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
But that was pretty late in the game.
Yeah.
He did completely shut down Mike Evans.
Right. If you're not getting targeted as a DB,
Yes.
it's harder for you
So-
to get those.
In fantasy-wise, not a good showing. real life, which of course to all of the players matters a million times more.
Yep. All the players
Had
are
an
watching.
amazing game. Lattimore had an amazing game. It just didn't really pan out for the Irving Indica as far as fantasy wise.
Nope.
And similar situation with the Honey Badger,
Honey
right?
Badger.
6 points. It happens when you have such a strong shutdown player. And it's funny, Honey Badger's in the Chiefs uniform. In case anyone doesn't know, he was traded, either traded or just not, given a new contract, and is currently on the Saints.
Yeah,
this
that one's
season.
actually not our fault. ESPN doesn't update it like immediately if you've been traded.
Yep.
So yeah, but Honey Badger, not great. All right, our next matchup of the noon games is the Detroit Lions and the Washington I almost got you. Commanders. The Commanders. 36-27. MVP dark horse candidate Carson Wentz was in this game. Let's talk about him for the
Yeah, why
Rockers
not?
with 27.78 points. One of the better quarterbacks this week.
I'm-
One of the better. He's actually He's a top 5 quarterback in fantasy this year. He's number 4.
I don't think I'm quite over when you said dark horse MVP candidate.
Yeah.
Is that true, or did you just make that up because he's on your fantasy team?
He's my dark horse.
Okay, yeah, so you just made it up. No one else thinks that.
Oh, I'm trying to put that out there.
Cool.
I mean, it's
Just
only
wanna-
week 2.
I mean, I was shocked.
It's only week 2 and he's going
because,
off.
In fantasy, for
In
sure.
fantasy, for sure.
There you go.
Yeah, Carson empty calories once. No matter how down his team gets, he will still put all of the effort forth for that touchdown. 27.8 points. Love it.
DeAndre Swift.
So Swift.
Running back of the Lions. Oh my gosh. Seriously, this guy is special. 16.7 points might not seem shocking for a running back, and you're probably like, Nick, why are you saying he's so special? I think he had like 5 actual touches with the ball. And there was a single play, which, you might have seen. He caught the ball, fell down behind the 20-yard line, and then still just ended up scoring the touchdown.
It's going to be one of those highlights where, like, if you guys have ever seen the Jason Witten play, where, like, his helmet gets knocked off, and then he still runs for a touchdown. Like, it's going to be one of those plays that your kids, when they're watching, like, a NFL, rewind, like, highlight moment, like, that one will come up, for sure.
Speaking of running back still, the Washington Commanders' Antonio Gibson with 12.1 points.
I'm fine with 12.1 points. But then again, we're
honestly,
the Castle Rock Rockers, and we suck at the running back position. So
right, well,
12.1 would be higher than any running back has scored for me in a very long time. So.
Well, there you go. you should reach out to CD's nuts and try to get a trade going. I'm sure he'd...
Yeah, CD's actually reach out to me if you're listening to this. But yeah, Antonio Gibson did a great job.
But you know who did a better job?
Yeah.
You know who did a better job? The Sun God.
Rah.
Oh my God, 39.4 points. CD's nuts. It's cheating. I want him. Send him my way. I'll give you like a 4th round pick or something. I don't know. But seriously, 39.4 points. Amazing performance. He's the reason, I would say, along with DeAndre Swift, of course, that the Detroit Lions offense is looking so phenomenal right now.
And the coach. I think that whole culture in Detroit is finally going to get back to something that the fans can maybe root for. Like, they're trending in the right direction for sure. And yeah, having the Sun God is just so fun. There's so many fun wide receivers this year.
Oh my gosh, no kidding. I mean, I feel like wide receivers right now are stacked. And if you don't have one of them, like myself, you're just feeling real sad right now.
Yeah. I mean, I've got Jamar Chase.
I'm gonna have Christian Kirk.
Yeah, I think we're fine. Scary Terry, not that scary. 12.2 points. It's not that bad. That's fine. When Carson Wentz, a dark horse MVP candidate, is throwing to you, though, you expect more. You expect more out of him.
Once again,
That's a top 5 quarterback.
No,
That's a top 5 fantasy quarterback right now.
This is embarrassing. DJ Hawkinson.
Now that's embarrassing.
Yeah, 5.6 points for
Oh
the
my
Plano
gosh, can you
Knicks.
imagine that being your first tight end?
I had to take him pretty early, too.
Yeah.
I had a bit higher expectations for him. I'm hoping that he's still just developing a little bit, which, tight ends take a while to get into their stride.
Yeah.
I don't
At least
hate
there's
it
no
still.
good receiver on that team taking targets away from him.
All right. Well, who knows?
Yeah. Deron Payne, 16 points for a defensive lineman. That's fine. I mean, it's
Great.
I love that line too. I always have. I always thought that the one thing the Commanders had, at least over the last few seasons, is a good defensive line.
They do have a great defensive line
Yeah.
for sure.
So yeah, Deron Payne, not bad.
And then Montez Sweat.
Who is one of the reasons that defensive line is really good.
Yeah, 6 points though.
Yeah.
They just weren't really able to get too much going on, the Commanders side of the ball. It just wasn't really happening for
Bad week for Flower Mound team.
100%. Oh yeah, that's another Flower Mound team
Yeah.
dud.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of duds, Jonathan Allen.
How many Allens?
So many J. Allens.
Yeah. Oh my god.
2 points. Massive dud for the
2
Cicadas.
points.
Is Chase Young hurt?
Yeah.
Is he? Because I haven't. Yeah, I didn't. What's going on with Chase Young? I thought he was hurt last season, but then recovered during the offseason.
He was hurt his rookie season
Right.
and last season.
Yes.
And yeah, I think there was recovery. He played some last season though, and then
He got hurt at the end of last season. For some reason, I remember seeing all over that he was fine now, but he hasn't been playing.
Yeah. If Chase Young's family is listening to this podcast, if you could just let us know how he's
Please
doing.
reach out.
Please reach out.
We miss
We're worried
him.
about him.
Well, I don't actually miss him because he scares me. But what's he up to these days?
What you doing?
Cole Holcomb, 13 points for the Commanders.
He looks like someone named Cole.
Really? Because I didn't think so. I was thinking more of like a Billy.
Billy, Cole, Austin. I mean, these are just
Yeah.
like, he definitely
Travis.
was in Travis.
Oh, yeah.
He looks just like a Travis. He was a guy in the truck line at high school.
100%.
For sure. Well, Cole Holcomb, 13 points. Linebacker, you're under 15. Not great. You're over 10. You're fine. Derek Barnes.
Donut.
Donut alert. That is our second donut of the week. Thank you. For everybody that's not the Dallas Clovers. We love donuts here in the Dimes and Donuts podcast. I actually like them more than dimes sometimes.
I love them so much more.
It's just fun. It's like a placeholder.
It is and the thing is, there's always going to be dimes.
Yeah.
Right? But there's not always going to be donuts.
That's
so it's
true.
always a nice little surprise,
Yep.
Yep. Speaking of
Thanks,
nice
Derek.
little surprises, 6 points for Tracy Walker.
That's a bad surprise. In what way is that a nice surprise?
Well, it's a nice surprise for the Dallas Clovers because they had a 0, and they're also playing against Tracy Walker on the Atlanta Cicadas,
That was-
who had 6.
Atlanta Cicadas have been so feast or famine this season. Like, they've had, I think, 3 players so far that we've already talked about under 7 points.
Wow.
That is tough.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah.
See, I'd feel worse if I didn't have, it feels like half my roster under 7 points. But,
Yeah, the defensive side of the Plano Nukes really needs
Some-
they would love Tracy
an
Walker.
injection.
he would fit right in that locker room.
it's a culture fit.
It's a culture fit for sure.
All right, 49ers Seahawks at 49ers.
Yep, Seahawks at 49ers.
Yes.
Yep.
And this is a fun game, and not a fun game.
It's not fun.
Interesting
It's-
game.
It's kind of sad.
Extremely sad.
Yeah.
It's
And that's from someone that doesn't believe in the guy. You know?
but like no one wants to see it happen regardless.
Of course not. Yeah.
Right,
They gave him
exactly.
the team.
So
that
let's
locker
just-
room's happy though. Oh my gosh! Did you see the way they swarmed Jimmy G after that game?
I don't know if I'd say they're happy
Oh, they're happy.
as much as
They want to win. This team could win the NFC.
but you don't want to.
They don't care about Trey Lance.
Let's just hop into it. We're talking, of course, about Trey Lance. 2.5 points after having to go out early
Yeah.
in the game
Very early.
with a snapped ankle, I believe. It was somewhere in his leg.
Yeah, he could have at least doubled that if that didn't happen to him.
Oh,
Trey.
man.
I do feel bad. I never root for injury, and even when it happens, it doesn't really make me excited.
It feels so bad.
It always feels bad, especially when it is a promising young guy whose team, at least the front office, believed in him enough to give up an arm and a leg. So hopefully, Trey, you come back. Maybe it even makes you stronger. You never know.
I think that what really, to me, Trey Lance just needs more time behind Jimmy G.
Yeah.
He just needs time to develop. He has athletic ability. He just needs a little more time.
Yeah, I mean, you can't throw him into the fire.
Not every quarterback. Exactly.
On a contender.
Not every quarterback is ready to go right out of college. And
even Patrick Mahomes took a year behind.
It's fine. Like, it's nothing to be ashamed of, right? So who knows? We'll have to see what happens. Tyler Lockett with the Seahawks, actually on your team, 19.7 points.
Yeah, no, you had Tyler Lockett, you said, like the last 2 seasons of individual one-year fantasy.
Redraft leagues, yeah.
Right, and apparently I'm going to be joining a support group by the end of this.
I think so, but that being said, quarterback change.
Yeah.
So who knows now? I mean, it sounds weird saying going from Russell Wilson to Geno Smith might actually help you.
Sometimes, though, when you see a younger guy come in, or not even younger, but just like younger in experience, like Geno, they usually go towards the veterans because they're so much safer. And Tyler Lockett is
a beast.
He's a beast. Yeah. He just is. Like I like the pick, and so far it's worked out for me this season. So we'll see going forward.
Deebo Samuel, another one of my guys.
Deebs.
14.7 points.
Has he been running as much as you wanted him to?
No.
Yeah, I'm
not
kind
at all.
of surprised with the way that even the 49ers, like in their, opening press conference, they're just hyping him up so much. Maybe that was like a strategy move. Maybe they're waiting to show it later.
Well, so he just recently signed a contract with the 49ers.
Yeah.
And during all of those discussions, he did not want to be utilized as a runner as often anymore.
But in those contracts, doesn't he have like incentives? Like if he hits like 1,000 yards of receiving and then like 300 yards rushing, like he hits something.
I of course do not have the time to go through his actual contract. But again, my understanding from reading secondhand and third-hand accounts is that there was actually a lot of that language initially, which is what was holding up the contract negotiation process. He wanted it removed and wanted it to be more similar to a proper receiver contract, which I don't blame him. Running backs have shorter careers get paid less money.
I just think he might be hurting his value long term because I know like long term maybe for security and safety, but if he wants that next big contract, like the whole reason Deebo is Deebo, right?
Is because they're running. Yep, agreed.
Like Deebo is not like this crazy route runner that everybody goes crazy about, like an Amari or someone with like insane speed,
right?
Like the cheetah. So I think you're taking away one of your weapons.
We'll just have to see, right?
Brandon Ayuk for Point Break, 11.3 points. It's fine.
It's fine.
They didn't need it. Like Seattle is in a bad way right now. I know they got that win off of the Broncos week 1. I'm glad they got that. Yep. That's going to be the highlight of their season.
I'm so happy for them beating Russell Wilson.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
it is what it is. 11.3 points. Nick Bosa.
29 points.
Yep. The number 2 guy in my room. Isn't that crazy? Nick Bosa is my number 2 defensive lineman.
Yeah, you're doing pretty good on the defensive side of the ball for sure.
Yeah, 29 points for Nick Bosa. He recorded his 3rd sack of the year, and he had plenty of QB hits, I believe 4. He was just unstoppable. Geno Smith was not having a good time back there. Looking across from Nick Bosa, and most quarterbacks will not this season. So 29 points. And I don't think that's going to be his highest game.
And then Jordan Brooks, the sort of best, of course, linebacker on the Seahawks. Best defensive player, I'd say, on the Seahawks currently, unless I'm completely...
They missed Bobby Wagner.
Yeah, for sure.
And they missed Jamal Adams.
That's what I was going to say. Jamal Adams might be giving Jordan Brooks a run for the money for best defensive player, but it's definitely between those two. Putting up 18 points against the 49ers while they were honestly being crushed. I mean,
sometimes when you're getting crushed,
that's a good.
Tackle people.
It's a good sign, honestly. Like in a bad situation, putting up 18 points, that's good, right? What's not good though is of course Fred Warner.
Who has this guy?
Oh, it's me. What do you know?
Oh no, another defensive bomb from the Nukes.
100%. He honestly hasn't even been doing that. He didn't do well last week either. I think it was, if I'm remembering correctly, he put up like 10 points last week, which is fine, but like not what I want out of Fred Warner.
A linebacker is what you expect in 1 week, not in 2. So
yeah, especially out of Fred Warner.
That is really, really tough.
Yeah, not good at This was almost an awesome game.
Oh, it was almost so fun, but it made
Almost so funny.
I don't know. I want the meme to continue forever. Like
And
if for
at
whatever
this rate,
reason,
it will.
Yeah.
Because, so if you don't know what we're talking about, so the Rams won this game 31-27, but for a little bit there, the Rams were up 28-3.
why is that score relevant?
Oh, I don't know. Why is that score relevant? Maybe because the Falcons blew a 28-3 lead against the Patriots.
They did not.
Hilarious.
Oh my gosh.
I know it's shocking everyone. No one's ever heard that joke before.
Yeah, 28-3 is not like the only Fox box score thing that you see in every Atlanta meme. I mean, every Atlanta fan goes to bed thinking about that game. It's not even that game. They have so many games that go like that.
Yeah, the Falcons are quite literally the like comeback enablers.
Yeah, 100%. If you're playing the Falcons and you're down like 40 points,
You're fine.
Some part of you is like, we still got this. We still got this. Matthew Stafford did got this, 20.88 points. Small Matthew Stafford fact for you, just because we do live in the area. He went to a high school around here, Highland Park High School, and his jersey is being retired this week.
Really?
Yes, yeah, pretty interesting.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
He is the Super Bowl champ.
Right, 20.88 points. Yeah, they probably just wanted to wait until he had that Super Bowl
Right?
to lock it down.
Instead of saying, hey, this was a guy that went here and played for the Lions for a long time and never won anything.
That's right. Yeah, now that he's a winner,
We like you.
that's great.
Yeah.
Just like last week, we didn't like you when you only had, I think you had below 10 points. This week, you got pretty solid quarterback numbers. Great for Matthew Stafford and Marcus Mariota. Something happened with Marcus Mariota this week, too.
Not quite yet, but Marcus Mariota, I played him, had a fantastic week for me, honestly. Dak Prescott out. I needed another super flex.
That's what I'm talking about. Like,
Yeah,
you actually
like-
had to play Marcus Mariota
Right.
for a week.
So, you know, Marcus Mariota's Marcus Mariota, 16.44 points. I'm not upset about it.
Austin Eckler, whoa! 16.44 points.
Wait a second.
Yeah, it's actually 18.4 points.
Oh yeah, that's a mistype.
Yeah, we are slightly off on Austin Eckler, and you know, in his benefit, right? I mean, 18 points for Austin Eckler is great. That's fine.
100%.
Yeah, it is what it is.
And then Patterson,
Cordero Patterson.
4.1 points. That is disappointing for sure. You would expect a little bit more out of him. The 2021 breakout running back, right?
Mhm.
Other than, well, like, I guess you could call him a breakout running back compared to even like Jonathan Taylor, because Jonathan Taylor just came in and was
No,
electric.
I think so too. I think
Yeah.
what's tough about this game is, again, their offense didn't really get going until they were way down and trying to fight back into the game, and you can't you cannot run the ball during that time. So 4.1 points, not great. Cooper freaking Cup.
What? Seriously, an absolute anomaly. 32.8 points thrown up for CD's Nuts. CD's Nuts has been having, I feel like, a lot of really strong hits.
Yep.
100%.
No, last week he had, I think, 3 out of the 7 or 8 bad players of the week.
And he is just absolutely still racking it up, even without the actual accolades to go with it. His team is just demolishing.
Yep. Cooper Cup, another 30-point week. Drake London, 24.6 points. That's exactly what you want to see out of Drake London.
Huge for that first round draft pick.
Yep.
From
It's just so much confidence, too. Like, that's
It's
got to
so
be a
good.
great boost. Week 2, and you're already coming out and dropping those numbers. Great job, Drake London. Kyle Pitts!
Speaking of first round draft
At
picks
least he
that
wasn't
went to the
picked that high.
Falcons.
You know?
Oh
yeah.
wait, what was the overall pick for Kyle Pitts again?
I don't know. I saw tight end next to his name, and I figured that it couldn't have been that high.
Oh yeah,
but-
of course. I mean, you wouldn't take a tight end in the first round.
Unless you were the Falcons and you wanted to Falcon your draft. So
Well-
they did just that. 3.9 points for Kyle Pitts. He did have some good fantasy games last year. Has not done it this year yet. I think he's probably got maybe 1 or 2 breakout games in there somewhere. But gosh, 3.9. And he, I mean, like you just said, he's splitting those targets now with Drake London.
Yep. And Drake London's coming in and looking amazing year one.
Yep.
Which is
More than
scary.
we can say for Kyle Pitts. So, yeah, Aaron Donald, 6 points.
It happens. It's a low week. I mean, you have to remember he's not an edge rusher.
No, I
So
understand.
this sort of thing it's
He's such
admittedly
feast or
not
famine. Like
what
he
you're
will
looking
hit,
for.
He'll get 3 sacks in a week though. at
Right,
some point.
exactly. He's still a league winner.
You'd think he'd be doing it against Mariota though in that line. Like this could have been an easy week for it.
Yeah.
But 6 points for Aaron Donald. Last week I think he only had like 12. So,
Right, yeah, true.
Not too incredible. Bobby Wagner's still weird for me. Not seeing him in a Seahawks jersey. 19 points. Dude's still unstoppable.
Absolute beast. Nothing else to say. Boom.
Boom.
Leonard Floyd, 4 points. Oh, finally, CD's nuts with a
about
dud,
damn time,
right? Yeah.
please.
I don't know if there was any other duds, but
Dud that
it
man.
seems like it's only been fantastic. But yeah, 4 points for Leonard Floyd week.
Jalen Ramsey. I've got Jalen Ramsey. Last week he got me 12 points, all on 6 solo tackles. This week 16 points, and the only reason he got it was because of an interception late in the game that sealed the almost comeback from not happening.
Right. And then Taylor Rapp.
That's a wrap for him, dude. You gotta bench him. You gotta bench him.
It's so sad. I mean, unfortunately, I'd bench him if I had anyone to replace him with.
Yeah,
but
I think-
another low-scoring defensive player for my team.
It's like 9 points in 2 weeks.
It's not good. That's for sure.
The Madden game.
Yes, honestly, it seriously looked like someone was playing Madden.
Well, he probably was right before the game.
Ooh, booyah.
Yeah, 29-23, an overtime win. Kyler Murray with 26.88 points, put all of his sliders up to 100 and went absolutely crazy. Probably has my favorite 2-point conversion of all time in this game.
The craziest 2-point conversion
Yeah.
I've ever seen.
If you haven't seen it, definitely go look it up. Honestly, just look up just watch this game. Like not the beginning, but like just go back and watch like the back half of the fourth quarter,
Yep.
and yeah, you can
And
see
then
a lot of angry
Yep.
Raiders fans.
And then the overtime,
yeah,
which was traumatizing for the Raiders, I'm sure. But
in that division too, you cannot be losing games.
100%. But Derek Carr.
Derek Carr, yeah, I've got Derek Carr. He did better this week than he did last week. I was really, really, really open for that overtime. He got like a few more points out of that. I don't know what it is with him and Devontae. So Devontae had a great week last week, and then they didn't really hook up too much in this game. And then Hunter Renfrow had 2 fumbles.
Yep.
So it was just a tough week for the Raiders, but I do expect them to bounce back.
Speaking of tough week for the Raiders, 9.1 points for Josh Jacobs.
Tough year.
Ugh.
2 weeks in.
Yeah, honestly. It's only the second week. And I think that's one thing to remember with all of these players especially. It's only the second week. You can't make too many jumps too quickly. You can definitely start getting worried. But 9.1 points for Josh Jacobs, you still can't really move off of him.
Yeah,
He's
I'm
a
not
beast.
hitting the panic button. Still a first round running back and proves that regularly.
Yep.
So, yeah, we'll see. James Conner. I don't think he was taken in the first round, but he's a good name out there. 7.1 points. Again, this game, like it looked like the Cardinals, after getting absolutely trounced in week 1 by Kansas City and then putting that performance out there in the first half of this game, it looked like their season was over. I was smashing the panic button, and I'm sure a lot of Cardinals fans were as well.
Right.
So yeah, in order to get back into this game, James did not have too much of an impact, unfortunately.
Hollywood Brown
Hollywood.
came on over from the Ravens to the Cardinals this year. Put up 14.8 points. It seems like he's been doing pretty well with Kyler Murray.
Yeah, he didn't do bad last week either.
No, not at all. I mean, this is looking like a pretty solid wide receiver 2 sort of option for fantasy owners of him.
Yeah,
I mean seriously, like
the TD Love and Sudgaze, I mean, they have a stacked wide receiver room. I mean, this might even be their IDP. Or not IDP.
Yeah,
one of their flex.
Yeah. Devontae Adams, like you were saying, 9.2 points. Not at all what you're looking for out of someone like Devontae Adams, who you're expecting 20-plus point weeks from, right?
Do you think he misses the 2-time MVP?
Well, like he said in the offseason, it's cool going from one Hall of Famer to another Hall of Famer.
Yeah, Derek Carr is... Oh, my gosh.
According to
That's
Devontae
so
Adams.
awesome. He's such a good guy to say that, though.
Yep.
I love that. Hunter Renfrow, you are so close to getting benched. He had fumbles last week, too.
I will say, watching the fumbles, I can't say I blame him. He got rocked.
Okay, on the second one he got rocked, right? Like that, I don't blame him
I
necessarily.
mean, that one
but-
was brutal.
Yeah, and the first one they didn't lose, technically. Like, he just
Right.
fumbled and they got it back. But Yeah, to be the guy that
Agreed.
ends the game in overtime that way, it had to be so hard for Hunter.
I mean, for what it's worth, I don't even think that he remembers overtime because of that second fumble hit.
Probably not, and he's still questionable, so he might not even be able to play for week 3. Darren Waller.
One of those other tight ends, though,
Top
that
5
just
tight end in the league.
absolutely puts up fantasy points.
Yep.
TD Levin Tuggaze, they're going to hold on to him for, I'm sure, until the wheels fall off, right?
I would.
17 points, especially with all the new receiving targets that are now competing. That's actually a good thing for Darren Waller, because Darren Waller's issue was never about target share, but about the fact that he was just smothered by defenses constantly because he's such a huge threat.
Yep, there was nobody else in that room. Max Crosby,
Beast.
still just, I'm so mad. He was taking 1 pick before me. I'll never forget it. The Dallas Clovers, they're hurting a little bit this year. But yeah, Max Crosby and Aiden Hutchinson, I mean, those are great pickups for their defensive line moving forward.
Well, he didn't even play Aiden Hutchinson.
No, I know. I'm aware. I'm sure a lot of people were confused as to why we didn't get to see him.
Who had Aiden Hutchinson with a 3-sack game wasn't even talked about because they didn't start him. But
That's right.
Zaven Collins was started.
Let's go. 16 points. It's a linebacker.
Perfect.
Let's go. Chandler Jones.
Let's not go.
Just so his ESPN profile picture is actually that. Like he's just wearing a shirt. I don't think that's a jersey. I thought it was a mistake last week, and then I looked it up again. That's exactly what it is.
Huh.
Yeah, Chandler Jones, for someone that can be flexible and start at 2 different spots, there's still value there. He's still a great player, but hopefully he can pick it up for the T11 Tug games.
And put on a jersey.
And put on a jersey, please.
Jalen Thompson, 20-point hit. Huge, huge game for him. And especially in such a, I'd say, chaotic game.
You'd say chaotic, really?
Yeah,
That's going out on a
I'd call it a
limb.
chaotic game. I think that this sort of game actually lends itself toward defensive players scoring a little bit higher.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of shocked that we didn't have a few more large scoring defensive players. But Jalen Thompson capitalized on all the chaos and came out 20 points for Irving Indica.
That's right. Chaos is a ladder for sure. Jonathan Abram, probably the 50th Jonathan that we've talked about today. 16 points for a DB. That's exactly what you want. Nothing more to say there.
Buda Baker, absolute stud.
Buda.
Probably one of the, I mean, I don't know if this is just my bias coming in, but I feel like he's one of the larger defensive household names.
I would say.
Yeah, putting up 12 points, I think that's about where you're going to be getting with him. I don't really see Buda Baker as that guy like Minka Fitzpatrick or Jamal Adams who's going to have those huge weeks.
I feel like last year and the year before, like he seemed like that guy.
But I feel like he's such a safe pick, right? Like he has such a high floor that he's always going to be thrown in on whatever team has him.
Yeah, I think the issue with Buda is that he doesn't have like that crazy playmaker
Exactly.
on the Arizona defense that
Exactly.
can make everybody feast. So I think that's the only problem. And I don't think he has that in him to be that guy.
And I could be wrong about that.
Yeah,
honestly.
we'll see. We'll look forward. Byron Murphy, another person in that DB room for Arizona, only 11 points, but you're over 10. You're a defensive player. The Nukes would love you.
Oh. There we go. Giving you all a little sneak preview.
That's right.
The Texans at Broncos. Wow.
That's right.
This was a... This honestly was... It would have been such a bad game if it wasn't so interesting.
It's a Broncos score. It's a Broncos game. You know.
I mean, let's just hop right into it, right? Russell Wilson with a disgusting 12
Let
points.
Russ cook. Why is he not scoring any points?
Well, you know, some might argue that he has the worst coaching staff in the NFL currently.
I think everybody would argue that. I mean, I think that the fans have already turned on them.
Oh, yeah. They were, for those who
down.
missed it,
Yeah.
they were counting down the play clock due to how many delay of games the Broncos coaching staff has already allowed.
Yeah.
Which is embarrassing.
It's so sad. You don't want to see poor coaching hold back a team, especially in this division, especially that had so much going for it in the offseason. I love the additions of Patrick Surtain and Jerry Jeudy, and now you bring in a veteran quarterback like Russell Wilson. Like, this was going to be a great season. Hopefully it still can be salvaged, but this win will help with that.
Mm-hmm. And then, so, Javonte Williams, sorry.
Yeah.
up-and-coming running back. Only 9.5 points. That's pretty tough. I think a lot of people are expecting a lot out of him. Who knows? Maybe it's just a slow start to the season. We'll have to just see what happens.
100%. Cortland Sutton, 21.7 points. Cortland Sutton is like the definition of a wide receiver 3.
Yep.
And if you're getting value from those slots like the Dallas Glovers did this week, at least you can claw back a little bit into your game.
I think Sutton has the potential of being one of those low-tier wide receiver 2s, high-tier wide receiver 3s, but definitely a flex spot for sure, you're saying, right? Kind of actually in that similar range is Brandon Cooks.
Yeah, Brandon Cooks did so well last week, and he is the wide receiver number 1 for the Texans.
Mm-hmm. But I think he's the epitome of a wide receiver 3 for fantasy.
No, 100%.
Right? Yeah.
And he is my wide receiver 3
Perfect.
for fantasy.
There you go.
9.4, not what I wanted. Honestly, wanted him to put up a little more against the Broncos, but I mean, he's again being locked down by Patrick Surtain, so that's a tough matchup.
100%. You can't blame him too much for that. One of the big reasons that Cortland Sutton was able to get so many points was unfortunately Jerry Jeudy went out very early.
I love
in the
Jerry
game
Jeudy too
due to injury. Yeah, no, it's these young players getting hurt. It just sucks.
Yep.
Right. I mean, no one wants to see that. No one wants to see anyone get hurt, but it just sucks so much when like these up and coming prospects
Flower
get
Mound
nailed.
team 2.2.
Oh, Flower Mound team has been getting nailed with injuries and just low scores this week. So, moving on though, Randy Gregory with 19 points for me this week.
Yep. Do you know who still has 0 sacks?
I don't care. You know
No,
why?
I know.
You know why?
I get it.
Because without sacks, he's getting 19 points. Throw a sack in there, and this is an elite defensive lineman right here.
Yeah, here's my problem, Randy. If you were still on the Cowboys, you would have already had like 3 sacks this year. Like the addition to Micah and that's going to be a top 5 defense easy. And we've seen like when it rains, it pours for defenses. Like everybody can get points. I do like that he took the initiative to like try to become a number 1 guy on a defensive line. And he's putting up decent numbers so far.
Right.
So let's keep it rolling. Or sorry, let's ride.
Yeah. Broncos country, let's ride.
Broncos country.
Alex Singleton, 13 points for CD's nuts.
13 points, linebacker. 2 under what we want, but you're still fine. You'll survive. Jonathan Grenard, kind of the same deal. He's got flexibility, but only 12 points. Kamu Grieger-Hill. There's no way it's Grieger, right?
Grugier?
I think mine was closer. Grozier? Kamu Grozier-Hill? Yeah, Kamu, have your family reach out to us, or you and let us know what your name is. But 8 points for linebacker. Hate to see it. I do not think that he is in their top slot. Maybe he was IDP this week, but I guess we'll have to look into that.
All right. Bradley Chubb.
2-point Chubb.
That is sad to see.
Not
Another
a chubby
dud.
dubby. Not a chubby dubby this week.
A dud, not a dub for sure. A dud for the Clovers.
Jalen Petrie? Petrie?
Yep, Petrie.
Petrie, 7 points, defensive back, under 10. Yeah, honestly, just a
Bad
Texans
week for the
Broncos
Clovers.
game. It's a bad week for
Well, at least
fantasy
defensive
points in this
yeah.
game.
For sure. Unless you're Cortland Sutton.
Yeah, he's the only person to score over what, like
20 points? Yeah. Randy Gregory got 19, so
yeah,
not bad.
close, yeah, not terrible, but everybody else in these games, I mean, there's some people popping off.
Cowboys versus Bengals.
Yeah, an
at
interesting
Cowboy
game.
Stadium.
Yeah, not a lot of fantasy points being thrown around in this game. You had like a few people hit, but really just kind of low scoring, and it was kind of a dud of a game too. You had a backup quarterback in, and you had I guess the offensive, like the worst offensive line in football going against each other.
Absolutely. I mean, you're saying low scoring, but I think the Dallas defense absolutely ate in this game.
Oh, they did. That's
I mean,
why.
100%. Oh, well, okay, yeah.
Low scoring.
Yeah,
Yeah,
low
no.
scoring in real.
I think
right.
it's low scoring in fantasy too. We'll get into it. I
Okay,
mean,
yeah,
it's
for
not
sure.
crazy, but it's still lower scoring than most of the games that we're going to look at. So let's
For
go
sure.
into Joey B. 15.56 points for Joe Burrow. I think he's usually projected around like that 20 to 24 spot.
Yep,
So
he's a pretty high projected
not great.
quarterback.
You got to learn to get rid of the ball because I promise you that offensive line is looking back at you every time.
Swiss
you're
cheese.
sacked. It's so hard. It's so hard for them to do their job with you too. You got to give them time.
Tony Pollard, though, popping off.
Interesting.
19.8 points.
Yeah, they went on a limb, Point Break, to put Tony Pollard in this week. That's always scary when you have someone splitting that many carries.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's something about backups, loving backups.
And I mean, Tony Pollard has been doing fantastic fantasy-wise. So there you go. I mean, the first week was pretty about what you'd expect for a backup running back. But
yeah, and
there
in
you go.
a game where your team scores 3 points,
20 points, right? Joe Mixon, underperformance for sure.
Definitely. I still think he's a top 5 running back.
Oh, easily. I think, honestly, if anything else, this just went to show just how dominant the Dallas defense has been, right?
Yep. Top 5, top 3 defense at the end of the year. We're
Absolutely destroyed them.
Yep.
But who didn't destroy the opposing defense was Ezekiel Elliott with 5.9 points.
Yeah, Zeke, I don't know. I think it's weird because I think you see a bit of a burst of speed coming back because when he does get the ball, he's great. I think he still needs a lot of breathers on the sideline. He takes himself out of games a lot, which you don't want to see, especially in week 2.
Yep.
But yeah, 5.9 points for a running back. And what did he get last week? About the same?
Yeah, about 5 points as well that week. So not looking good. Starting to get worried that he's about at that cliff, right?
Yep.
Then T. Higgins.
Yep. Trayvon Diggs was up against 2 really, really good receivers this week. Did a great job of Jamar Chase, but T. Higgins lit him up. They had a touchdown at the end to tie the game up at 17-all. That was a T. Higgins touchdown. He seemed to be the only one that Joe Burrow could really, really target.
Yep, for sure. CeeDee Lamb, 15.1 points.
Yeah, it's interesting. He didn't have many points until that fourth quarter. I think Noah Brown, just because he used to be a practice squad guy, Cooper Rush, the practice squad guy.
Right.
They both had that chemistry. CD was taking the number 1 matchup, so the number 2 got free. But at the end of the game, CD in those game-winning drives, really turned it on. No
100%.
touchdowns, but plenty of yards and plenty of catches.
And that's all you got to ask for, right?
15 points is fine.
is for CD, that's about right.
Yeah, for CD, that's great.
Yeah.
That's
10.8, though, is not great for Jamar Chase.
After a 30-point game last week,
Absolutely blanketed by Trayvon Diggs.
yeah, he really was. Jamar Chase, I think that the Dallas defense and their defensive coordinator, Dan Quinn, went into this game saying there's one person on that team that can really gash us this week, and you will not let Jamar Chase score.
And they did not.
And they did not. I am thoroughly impressed. I didn't
shocked.
think it was possible.
I'm shocked.
I thought Jamar Chase seems like a guaranteed 15-point wide receiver for me every week, and I think this speaks way more to the Dallas defense and the lack of that offensive line than it does Jamar Chase's ability.
For sure. Leaving wide receivers and going into tight ends, Hayden Hurst with 7.4 points.
Yeah, great beard game, not great tight end game. 7.4 points for a tight end is about what I expect for tight ends.
Unfortunately, right?
But, if you don't have a top 5 tight end, you really are in a crapshoot every single week. Hayden Hurst's 7.4 is kind of impressive given how bad this game went for the Bengals on offense.
What is not at all impressive, almost a donut.
Almost a donut.
Disappointingly.
Yeah, I think he had a fumble. So
Yeah,
that
it
took
almost
points
brought
away.
him back down.
Yep.
Dalton Schultz with 0.8 points for CD's nuts. That hurts.
It does, especially after last week. I think he put up 11 points, which is about what you would want from a Dalton Schultz type tight end. I think probably maybe a 12th to 15th best tight end. I don't know.
Well, because I think
he's got the franchise tag.
I think Dalton Schultz is
They wanna keep
one
him.
of those fantasy-wise at least, one of those tight ends who's not in the top 5, not in that tier 1, tier 1.5, but is a tier 2 fantasy producer at the tight end position.
Yep.
Especially for last season. So 0.8 is brutal.
Sure. I mean, he might have been dedicated more to blocking. I'd have to go back and watch the game film just to help Cooper Rush out
100%.
a little bit. So
Give him some more time.
yeah,
right.
that could have been it as well.
Sam Hubbard with 22 points.
You love to see it.
Well, there you go. I mean, we were talking about defense, and on the Dallas side, but it looks like Sam Hubbard on the Cincinnati side was able to feast as well with 22 points. That's pretty solid showing.
Yeah, Cooper Rush didn't take too many sacks. He was really a game manager and had to make sure that he wasn't the reason they lost, so he was really good at getting rid of the ball. But when he didn't, Sam Hubbard was there.
And who wasn't there was Trey Hendrickson.
Nope.
Shocking.
Very shocking.
Actually shocking.
After an incredible week 1, too.
One of the top tier. I don't know if it's a top tier, but a fantastic pass rusher.
Yeah,
right?
I think that the Bengals are going to be, the Bengals and Point Break are going to be
sad.
Yeah,
Very
sad this week, but happy in weeks to come.
100%. Trey Hendrickson will not be stopped for long.
Yep. Yeah, someone that's never going to be stopped, ever. The second coming of Lawrence Taylor, Micah Parsons, Defensive Player of the Year front runner right now, sack leader in the NFL right now, and the Castle Rock Rockers poster boy, Micah Parsons.
Absolute beast.
So much flexibility. It's so funny. The Bengals in their post-game press conference were talking to the media, and they were like, "Did you expect Micah to be lined up at edge rusher for that percentage of snaps?" And they said no, which is odd.
Which is weird.
Because
he's been doing that.
Well, he wasn't last year. Last year he was splitting about 50-50. And then this year, like the first game out of the gate, the Tampa Bay game, he was lined up like 90% of those snaps. And in this game, it was even higher. Right? Like, if you look at the media, like people will be like, "Oh, why was Micah sitting out like so many snaps?" People don't understand that like edge rushers, they do not play every snap like a linebacker.
Oh no, not at all.
It's impossible. You have to be fresh.
Gassed, right?
You got to be fresh. You're going up against giant left and right tackles. 29 points, 2 more sacks, 4 on the year.
Jermaine Pratt.
I put him, I think, in my third linebacker spot. I thought that with Cooper Rush being in, maybe they would get more. Because I thought maybe they would have to rely more on Zeke because I don't believe in CD or that wide receiver room. I thought that'd give him more. Thought maybe there was sack potential. But 10 points, like I said, if you get 10 points as a defensive player, that's fine.
Logan Wilson did not do as fine. It's only 7 points for CD's nuts. We were talking earlier about, I think it was Cicadas being boom or bust. The CD's nuts team might actually be more boom and bust now that we're going through more and more teams. They've been having some really high scoring guys with huge hits, but also this has been quite a few duds in a row.
I'd have to look into it, but yeah, I think those two definitely take the cake for like the feast or famine trophy this year.
Right.
2 weeks in, but so far.
Right, yeah, you never know.
So Logan Wilson, I hope you have a better time next week because Logan had a low game.
There you go. Von Bell.
Le'Veon Bell?
No, not at all. Just Von Bell.
Just Von Bell.
Dropped the le.
Dropped the le. CD's nuts coming back with a 17-point defensive back.
Excellent showing against a backup quarterback.
Yeah, good job.
Seriously. I think that this does sort of go to show, though, like matching up DBs against weaker quarterbacks pays off. Who would have thought?
That's why fantasy is so fun, is you really, like, your knowledge of your team, of other teams, and of their situations is really, really important. So, if you had that defensive back for Cincinnati and saw your, backup quarterback, it was a good pick.
And then Chidobe Awuzie coming back to Dallas. Only 10 points, not able to put up too much work. Unfortunately for the Dallas Clovers, but 10 points is a pretty decent showing.
I'll take it.
And it's definitely more decent showing than Jesse Bates with 6 points.
You would take it.
For my team. Yeah. Right. I'm shocked. I thought Jesse Bates was going to be a stud on the Bengals, and he has not been doing too well so far this season.
He certainly looks like a winner. That goatee just screams interception potential.
Honestly, I think the big thing for me that really sold me on him for this season was that he was in a contract dispute and skipped training camp. And to me, that means he's going to blow up this year.
Yeah. Do you think you were baited into taking Bates?
100%.
No.
Yeah, because so far it hasn't been panning out.
You took
Who knows?
the bait.
We'll see for sure. Bears and Packers.
Stop putting this at Sunday Night Football. Nobody wants to watch this during prime time. The Bears are still the Bears, and the Packers, coming off of their Week 1 loss, always make the next person feel so much pain.
It is still kind of funny, though. It always makes me... It just, to me, it's a little funny watching the Packers beat up the Bears every single year.
Yeah.
Just because Aaron Rodgers gets so excited about it for some reason. But speaking of Aaron Rodgers, 15.36 points.
Which is, I mean, he did throw an interception in this game, and he threw an interception last game, meaning he only has 2 more for the rest of the season that he's allowed to throw.
Before he retires.
Yeah, before his Aaron Rodgers-ness is not Aaron Rodgers. Like, he's got the best touchdown to interception ratio in the league. He can do more with the football than any quarterback from a pure pocket passer perspective. He's incredible in every way. CD's nuts will be fine. I am really, really excited for the Week 3 matchup against Tampa Bay because that is a good defense.
Right.
We'll see. 15.36. I'd like to see him do better.
And with the fantasy QB matchup, CD's nuts has Aaron Rodgers, but also has Justin Fields playing against each other. 8.8 points.
Yeah, I wasn't worried going into this game. I was playing CD's nuts this week, and that was one of the last games that we were going to play against each other. It was actually really close. I had a few people pop off right at the end, and I was like, oh, Justin Fields and Aaron Rodgers. Okay, I think I'll be fine. And yeah, for the two of them to combine for a good quarterback score was just so nice. I still lost, but...
and for the funny thing is...
Or maybe I didn't.
Neither of them were able to really get anything going in the air. And this was a heavily run-dominant style game, which is weird because it's Aaron Rodgers. Right. But Aaron Jones with 32 points... Unless you watch the game, I cannot stress to you how badly Aaron Jones was decimating the Bears defense.
I think he averaged over 10 yards a carry.
I definitely saw at one point during the game he was averaging. I don't know how much he ended at, but at one point he was averaging over 10 per carry. It's so weird watching the Bears defense get run over, right? Like, I mean, is that not weird to see that jersey get run over?
It's the laundry. You see that. You just see that. Blue and orange, and you're like, okay, well, they're about to
have a good defense.
Yeah, Brian Urlacher's about to sprout out of the ground and just plant this dude, but
nothing like that.
Nothing.
Urlacher's rolling in his NFL grave.
For real.
But David Montgomery, another running back who had a pretty decent week. Of course, on the other side, 15.6 points against the Packers for Point Break. It wasn't an Aaron Jones type showing, but he also had a pretty good week. Who didn't have as good of a week against the same defense as Aaron Jones was A.J. Dillon.
I don't know what's going on here. I think it's just because he has to split.
Yeah, I mean, he's competing against Aaron Jones, who's an absolute beast.
Yeah.
So as an A.J. Dillon owner, I'm not upset about it. I'm not worried about it.
This is a long play
with the knowledge.
Right.
That this is, gonna happen for a little bit, for this year especially. We'll have to see what happens next year on whether or not A.J. Dillon still has to split carries with Aaron Jones, if Aaron Jones is still even gonna be a Packer next year.
Yeah, I hope it works out for you. But
I do too.
Yeah, Kenny Clark, who did not work out for him. Which is odd. I mean, you're going against Justin Fields.
Yep.
When they couldn't even move up the field. Like, you would think that they'd be able to, stuff a little more to get some kind of tackle.
Justin Fields was being pretty mobile. Speaking of mobility, though, another bit of a citation. Did you see Justin Fields throw a pass while way past the line of scrimmage?
No.
That was awesome. It was the weirdest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. But maybe that's why he couldn't catch him. Justin Fields was just all over the place, just throwing the ball from wherever.
Yeah, he didn't know where he was, clearly.
Nope, not at all.
Oh, my gosh. Preston Smith
knew where Justin Fields was.
Yeah, he did. He was Preston him into the ground.
Oh, that was a good one.
Yeah. 30 points, a lot of flexibility again at that spot. Big dude, too.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Can you imagine
for a linebacker?
Can you imagine being hit by Preston Smith?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, hitting the bench Preston.
Not his brother or cousin, but same last name, Roquan Smith.
Yeah, how many Smiths do you think are in the NFL that we've gone over?
Pretty decent amount. I don't know how many. I'm curious. But Roquan Smith did pretty good.
Probably the number 2 linebacker taken, I think, in our draft.
Yep.
Yeah.
Second
linebacker
taken.
He's totally fine. Doesn't he want out after this year?
Yes. So he wanted to get a contract. The Bears don't want to pay him what he feels like he deserves. He feels like he deserves the highest linebacker contract in
As
the
he
league.
does. That's how it works.
Yep.
Your
And
next stuff gets
so
next paid.
the Bears aren't willing to offer it to him, so he's going to go somewhere else, and I'm excited for it.
I'm so excited
Yeah.
for you, honestly.
Because I want him out of there.
I do too. I'm sure he and you have the exact same deal.
Yeah.
Rashawn Gary, 15 points. You're a linebacker. Great job. I love that for you. Quay Walker, 11 points. You're a linebacker. Not as good, but you're over 10. You know, Dallas Clovers could use some over 10 players, especially on the defensive side of the ball, because they keep benching all of their good defensive players.
20%. And then Devondre Campbell. You know,
I
this
was
is-
shocked.
This is interesting.
It sucks.
I just noticed 4 Packers linebackers were played this week.
That's probably why it didn't work out well for me.
Yeah.
Which-
That's a lot of competition.
Yeah, I think Preston Smith really took a lot of the wind out of my sails here, because Devondre Campbell had a 20-point week last week.
Oh, wow.
Which is what I expect. He's
Yeah, for
I
sure.
think like 30 years old. He's kind of getting up there. I took him a little late, but you know his average for the season is going to be so much better than 6, and I'm hoping that next week he can shut Tampa Bay down.
Right. So one of the, how should I describe this? One of the latest victims in the Buffalo Bills rampage, the Buffalo Bills stampede, if you
There
will.
you go. Nice.
It came a second too late. The Buffalo Bills stampeded over another opponent. You know, we're going to keep workshopping this for future weeks.
Okay.
But we'll get better. What won't get better is the results of opponents that are facing the Bills, because they are looking unstoppable.
Yeah, I mean, it's rare that the preseason favorite is this dominant this quick. And honestly, I'm excited. Like, I think Bills Mafia needs this. Did you know they lost 4 Super Bowls in a row?
I did.
Yeah.
And I think it's hilarious. I love their fans. I really do like the Bills fan base. That one of the most, what's the word? Genuine fan bases in all of sports.
Yep.
They deserve it. If it's not going to be us, I hope it's them. But let's hop right into it. Josh Allen.
He is just like this
Oh,
shining star on a pile of crud for you this year.
100%. This is the only thing. This is one of the few players I have going for me. 29.68 points. I am quite literally never going to give him up for anything.
He just looks so dominant. He understands the game. Like, I feel like it's moving so slow for him now. Like,
Yep.
he's dissecting defenses. He's not just, like, pulling off crazy wins. Like, when we saw even, like, Patrick Mahomes come on the scene, like, it was because of his bag, right? And, like, because of how crazy he was willing to play. Where it was like, oh, my gosh, that's insane. Josh Allen, other than his crazy stiff arms and runs, like,
Which is pretty crazy.
Yeah, but he is an awesome pocket passing quarterback now.
100%.
Like,
Which
he's
is
got
why.
a freaking cannon,
I'm
but
so
he's
excited.
so accurate.
And he can run.
Yeah,
It's weird.
He is a perfect quarterback. He's built right. He's going to be great for you for years to come.
So excited for it.
Derrick Henry, the king, has fallen.
Oof, yeah.
I don't know if it's the Titans as a whole or if it's Derrick Henry finally hitting the wall that we thought he wouldn't have, but the way it's going this year for this team, I don't see that crazy 200-yard game coming anytime soon.
We'll just have to strap in and see. I honestly am not super down on him, not at least to that extent. I do think that the Titans' struggles are going to actually lend themselves to Derrick Henry performing a little bit better fantasy-wise. And I think that you can't look too... I really think you cannot look too much into players' performance against the Bills.
Okay, but I can look into that player's performance against the Giants.
That's a
And
valid point.
I think that we need to timestamp this, and I am saying Derrick Henry will have his worst season by far ever.
Okay.
And yeah, I know it's 2 weeks and it's a little reactionary, but this team does not even have like a shining race right now. That's the hard part.
For sure. Devin Singletary.
This is the
Even
single,
worse.
yeah. This is the single worst running back pick that I've made in a long time. It sucks because you'd think like teams like this, like the Buffalo Bills, are going to get ahead so quick. They're like, okay, let's take the air out of the ball, let's run it down. But as Von Miller said in his press conference, they're not trying to win. They're trying to beat you into the ground. And you don't necessarily do that by running at the end of the game. So, Devin Singletary, hopefully you do better, but so far you've not been great.
You know how you beat people into the ground? Through the air. With Stephon Diggs, your bad wide receiver of the week.
Oh, he's bad.
44.8 points. I will say a large part of this crazy high score is probably in part due to Gabe Davis being out.
Yeah, that helps a lot.
He did not play on Monday. He had some sort of lingering injury from the previous week, and they decided to rest him, which was obviously the right choice because they didn't need him.
3 touchdowns.
They pulled all their starters,
Yep.
Which is hilarious. Stephon Diggs doing Stephon Diggs thing, top 5 wide receiver in the NFL,
Yep.
paired with the top 5 quarterback in the NFL. Great
Yep.
things.
I
Who's
think
shocked?
Isaiah McKenzie definitely felt the effects. Honestly, when you've got someone going off that much, and you just want to get that chemistry working, especially early.
Yep.
Between Stephon and Josh Allen. So yeah, Isaiah, you're gonna suffer from that, bud. That just happens. 5.7 for the Big TD Goth girls. Not great. Dawson Knox, my tight end, the highest I've had a tight end score for me this year. 8.1 points.
Well, it's
Dawson
only week
Knox.
2.
It's only week 2. 8.1, that's what I expect out of my tight ends. Totally fine. Greg Rousseau for Point Break defensive line, 18 points. Amazing. I'm totally fine with that.
Right.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Simmons with 3 points. Man, seriously, how is a defensive lineman supposed to play against Josh Allen?
Yeah.
And just the Bills in general. It's not fair. That's what I expect. That's what I expect out of a defensive lineman playing against the Bills.
Definitely. Sorry, Jeffrey, you ran into him. Tremaine Edmonds, he had an interception. Or no, it was a sack in this game, I believe. And I think he left early. Not for injury. Like, I think they just pulled him. He's one of the best linebackers in the league.
Although he was involved in an injury against his own player.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, he
That
was
looked
involved
brutal.
in an injury.
Who luckily, he's okay. Everyone's okay. But, yeah, not great.
Yeah. Von Miller, 7 points, coming off of a crazy week last week. Von is still that, great locker room presence, but he is still a great on-the-field presence, too. Do not think that just because Von had a 7-point game, that's going to be the norm. I would start him every week if he was on my team.
David Long with 3 points. I'm going to be honest, this was kind of a flyer. I wasn't happy with my linebacker room, so I just kind of threw some different guys in, see what would happen.
Yeah.
It didn't work. He's not going to play again next week.
Sorry, David. It looks like you were a bit of a long shot this week.
Ooh.
Jordan Poyer, 21 points, linebacker. When you shut down a team.
Jordan Poyer is actually a DB.
He is a DB.
Yeah, he's
okay,
a DB.
yeah, I thought
Yeah,
it was
that's
weird.
funny, yeah.
Jordan Poyer, when you shut a team down to have only 7 points and your team scores 41, that's the tail of the tape.
Yep.
21 points is about what you're going to score. Kevin Byard.
Another DB that is incorrectly labeled an LB.
So weird.
Crazy how that happens.
It's so crazy how that happens. 13 points for Kevin Byard. That's totally fine. Let's go into our second Monday night game, sorry. The Eagles and the Vikings.
Last game of the week.
Last game of week 2 for BAAD owners matchups. 24-7. Eagles are looking pretty good this year.
Scary, for
Eagles
sure.
are looking pretty good, and we thought that the reason they might not look good was because of the quarterback position, but he is so far proving everybody wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I think that he came into the NFL as a pretty established raw talent.
Yep.
And he is pulling it off so far. He has made huge leaps and bounds as far as his quarterback performance. Still extremely reliant on his run game, of course. The one thing I will say that I'd like for him to develop as far as actual quarterbacking ability is going through all of his, options.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like if his first look isn't available, he kind of tends to run,
Yep.
which for fantasy is absolutely fantastic.
You get way
You get
more points.
more points.
Yep.
So great fantasy pick for the Flower Mound team. All you have to kind of bank on and hope for is that the Eagles don't move on from him, which if the Eagles keep winning like this, they're not going to.
Yeah, I said it last week. I don't know if it's a great fantasy pick for Dynasty, but if he continues to prove me wrong, that's great. I love it when players prove me wrong. It just makes it more interesting. Kirk Kissing Cousins doesn't ever prove anybody wrong. He's about what you expect. Last week, he was 0.3 points away from his projected. I thought that was the most Kirk Cousins thing ever. But then showing up with 10.84 and not really connecting with his number one target. A lot of people consider him like the number one wide receiver in the league, if not the greatest like young talent.
100%.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins with only 10.84 points. It was a tough game all around. That defense is looking good.
And not much moon for Miles Sanders, right? 11.6 points. I think Miles Sanders is one of the better, not, like an elite level running
Still
back,
pretty
but
young,
like
too.
one of the better running backs, right?
Yeah.
I'd expect a little bit more from him.
I'm sure the Clovers did too. Dalvin Cook, I know for a fact the Big TD Golf Girls expected a lot more out of Dalvin. He is still a bona fide number one option. I do think that when they're facing a team with really bad run defenses, Dalvin Cook is going to absolutely eat. I know he has a 30-point game in there somewhere.
Yep,
I'm not sure how many years left he's got of 30-point games. Not saying that he's old,
Right.
but every running back that gets like that bell cow back status like Dalvin did the last 2 years is going to see some wall eventually. Devonta Smith.
Yep, they're young wide receiver.
Very young.
I actually am not sure.
He looks
Devonta
like 15
Smith,
in that picture.
He does. He does look pretty. I mean, he's a small guy
Yeah.
in general. I remember when he was
small
coming into the
receivers-
NFL.
Yeah.
He does not weigh a lot. I was worried about injury risk, but so far, I mean, he's been totally fine. I'm not actually sure if he's the wide receiver 1 or wide receiver 2 on the Eagles depth chart officially, but it's one of those situations where both Devonta Smith and who's next up, AJ Brown, both great number 1, number 2 targets,
Yeah, I think-
regardless of where they actually sit on the
Yeah,
depth
AJ's.
chart.
I would say AJ's number 1 right now. There's a
That's
reason
what I
that
think,
they went
right.
for him, but Devonta will be. I mean, he's rookie contract, right?
Yep.
AJ Brown, 11.9 points. He went off last week. We saw a lot of first-year wide receivers last week go off, and then we saw a lot of them kind of table, like Devonta Adams. So, I think it's just a second game slump. Flower Mound team, he really took it in the pants this week with a lot of, these players that you would think would score more. 11.9. You're not bleeding too much, but AJ Brown will be much better in the coming weeks.
This was a shock.
Huge.
Justin Jefferson kept only 10.8 points.
He was our bad wide receiver of the week last week. He was the best one.
That's right, he was. But he
40
was
point
getting
game.
absolutely covered by, who was it?
Darius Slay.
Yep. Who was not played this week, but I'm sure is going to get a lot of action in the following weeks.
Yep.
I'm sure a lot of people are competing to pick him up. He actually wasn't even rostered
Nope.
this week.
No, I think that's an issue with corners like Darius Slay, though, too, is sometimes they cover up so well that it's not even because of the pass blocks
Agreed.
or the tackles they're getting. They're just almost too locked down in some situations.
Right.
I probably wouldn't have started him against Justin Jefferson.
Oh, no, not at all. I
Personally.
would have thought that. I mean, I wouldn't think that he'd be able to lock Justin Jefferson down like he did,
At
but he
all.
proved it. So there you go.
Great job. Adam Thielen. Last week, this is about what he got because of the Justin Jefferson effect. Being the second wide receiver in a room with somebody like that can be tough, especially when Kirk Cousins is the quarterback. Again, I don't think Kirk Cousins is a bad quarterback, but they don't really. He's never been known to feed it around too much. Like even when Adam Thielen was the number 1,
Right.
Adam Thielen was a number 1. Like he was
Yep.
the one getting those targets. So 9.2, probably a great flex or third wide receiver moving forward.
Great week for Dallas Goedert.
Yep.
13.2 points. I wasn't fully expecting that.
Nope.
To be totally honest. But he's been doing pretty well. I think he's sort of in that same tier as Dalton Schultz.
Yeah.
Of like that sort of tier
I'd
2
put him a
tight end.
little in front of Dalton Schultz. just because I feel like because of Dalton Schultz's injury last year, I think Dallas Goedert has gotten more number one reps.
Right.
And he's been working. Like, every mobile quarterback needs that, like, safety tight end sometimes. Like, you see it with Mark
100%.
Andrews and
100%.
Lamar Jackson. And, you know, it's better for blocking for that quarterback as well. So they definitely have a rapport in that room. So looking forward to seeing Goddard go crazy.
And Josh Sweat putting up 21 points. Another pretty good hit for CD's Nuts. See, that just goes sort of back to that feast or famine site, roster that CD's Nuts seems to have developed. But 21 points, absolutely eating the Vikings' offensive line. They only were able to put up 7 points, and Josh Sweat was a big reason why.
Yeah, so was TJ Edwards, actually.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah, with 23 points in the linebacker position. Beautiful pickup by the TD Levin Tudgays. All my homies hate the TD Levin Tudgays. They went off at like every position this week.
True.
Based on what we've seen so far.
Oh, yeah, no, they absolutely popped off.
Yeah. I'm sure you loved that.
Oh, no, 100%. Yeah, that was great. Hunter coming in with 19 points for the TD Levin Tudgays. Just another,
Yeah, Daniil Hunter, better than the other Hunter this week, Hunter Renfrow.
Oh, right. Yep.
Yeah, a lot of flexibility at that position. The Vikings have always been known for staunch defenses, and if you've got a piece to build around right here, for sure, moving forward. Eric Kendricks, same deal, same linebacker room, 16 points. They were absolutely swarming whenever they could. It's not their fault that the offense couldn't keep them in this game, because honestly, holding Jalen Hurts and that team to only 24 points is honestly fine. Like, you want to be able to win a game like that, especially with great receivers and a decent quarterback on the other end.
Same linebacker room. Jordan Hicks put up pretty similar numbers with 15 fantasy points for the Cicadas. Like we were saying, it's a pretty decent. I mean, that's what you're looking for, right? You want them to have that sort of get lots of tackles, set yourself a nice floor, and set yourself up for the potential of popping off if they get a sack or two.
Yeah, next we've got Kazir White. 10 points.
There you go.
Defensive player with 10 points.
It's
perfectly
normal.
Yeah, you would kill for like a couple of those. Next we've got Harrison Smith.
The only DB of this game, right?
Yeah.
That was actually played and absolutely popped off.
Yeah, it was a good pick for the Big TD Golf Girls. They're so good at managing their team. I swear.
It's actually insane. It seems like every single player that they put in does well.
Yeah. Yeah, even if I don't know what Harrison Smith was projected this week.
No idea, but it wasn't that.
It definitely wasn't 26 points. So, yeah, great job by the Big TD Golf Girls. And now we are going to go into our best per position. These are the bad players of the week. We're going to start it off with Lamar Jackson. Going up against Miami, unfortunately, could not pull it off because of Tua, Jalen Waddle, and the Cheetah. 41.62 points, the best quarterback score in the league.
Then, of course, Stephon Diggs leading the way as the bad wide receiver of the week for the TD Levin Tudgays, coming at 44.8 points, largely, of course, in part due to the number 2, Gabe Davis, being out. But Stephon Diggs was able to step up and really bring it home for the Bills in a huge win over the Titans.
Yeah, did a great job. So the Irving Indica also had the next 2 players, both on the same defense, both putting up crazy points. 32 points for Shaq Barrett and 31 for Devin White. So they had Lamar Jackson, Shaq Barrett, and Devin White.
Insane.
So CD's Nuts did this last week. I wonder if we're going to see this if it rains, it pours thing going forward for people hitting bad players, but I seriously doubt it.
I'm excited for it to happen to me.
Me too, buddy. That would be just great.
Oh, man. But for the running backs, Nick Chubb led the way, 32.3 points.
The chubby dubby.
The chubby dubby. That's what we're rolling with. It's actually funny. There was a bit of controversy with Nick Chubb's score this week somewhat because he got a touchdown at the end of the game that ended up losing the Browns the game.
Yep.
So 32.3 points, putting him as the bad running back of the week. but his coaches probably aren't as excited about that placement for him.
That's right. We could care less, though, and I'm sure the Flower Mound team was very, very excited.
100%.
Yeah, it's either going to be Mark Andrews or Travis Kelce. Mark Andrews takes the cake this week for the Atlanta Cicadas with 25.7 points. He was taken very high in our draft, and he is paying dividends for that position. When most of the league has somebody scoring, like I did, 8.1 points or 10 points or 13 points, getting like another player essentially.
Yeah.
Is so huge. Mark Andrews always going to put up great numbers with Lamar. And then do you want to talk about the third Raven on this list?
Oh my gosh, yeah, the Ravens. It's the best part about it. The Ravens lost.
They lost.
Yep, the Ravens lost. But Marcus Williams with 2 interceptions, right, against the Dolphins. Incredible week for Marcus Williams. This is going to be interesting to watch going forward because this might be another ball hawk year situation, another ball hawk DB year for Marcus Williams.
Yeah, well, the more you see the dependence on the wide receiver position, the more the league wants to move to this throw it around air raid style. The more the defensive backs are going to feast too. You know, we saw it last year with Trayvon. Maybe it's Marcus Williams' year. That'd be very, very, very interesting to see.
It would definitely be great for the CD's Nuts team.
It would be great for the CD's Nuts team.
And then, of course, the BAAD bench player of the week, Aiden Hutchinson. I'm shocked that he was on the bench.
Well, last week, I think he scored like 3
He got
points.
1 point.
Was it 1?
He got 1 point.
Yeah.
So
he started that week, though?
I'm not sure.
I don't believe he was.
I'd have to go back and look at that. But the number 2 overall pick in this year's NFL draft.
Yeah.
Showing why he was the number 2 overall pick in this year's NFL draft, right?
Yeah, going up against a team like the Commanders, too. Carson Wentz has been known to take a few sacks in his day.
Well, he took more than a few. 3 coming from Aiden Hutchinson.
Yep.
Putting him, I think this performance alone, even with a slow week 1, probably catapults him into the defensive rookie of the year running. Curious what, Vegas is thinking, but personally, after watching that game, oh my gosh, that was amazing.
Yeah,
amazing
it looks
performance.
like it's Aiden Hutchinson's race to lose as of right now. Still very early in the season, but yeah, a 3-sack day, that's incredible. Especially when you're not playing Jamar Chase. Sorry.
Yeah, so the best manager of the week was Prad Javadi with the Irving Indica. Scored 330.38 points out of a possible max points of 383.62. Not as efficient as last week's best manager.
Nope.
But still, this week, credit where credit's due. Congratulations to that.
Yeah, it's a big percentage game. Like when you're projected 383 and you still manage to get 330, like that's really hard to
Well, that's
do.
max points.
Yeah.
Yes, right. Not project. That is a different award,
Right.
which will be coming up. But the worst manager, the Dallas Clovers. Ubby, a maximum points for 361.38 and only scored 250.98 of those. You played all the wrong people.
Yep.
And
Hutchinson was a big part of that.
Yeah, and Aiden Hutchinson was a big mistake.
Oh.
Actually, I think when I was talking with him, he had 2 players who, if he had put them in, that was a 60-point swing.
Yeah.
And I am not. The second player is slipping my mind, but yeah, 60 points left on the bench with just 2 slots.
Yeah, he would have joined the 300 club that week.
Yep, 100%. The biggest blowout was from the Tudgay brothers.
Yep.
This was actually against me, unfortunately.
So you've had the biggest blowout 2 weeks in a row, then?
No, I was blown out the 2 weeks in a row.
Right.
Yes,
Yeah.
I was involved.
That's tough. You've been involved in both
I
of
like
them.
to say that I elevate those around me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I'm going with. I'm going to put that on my resume.
Yeah, your team does not show up to play up to their competition. They play down.
We make everyone look great.
You do.
We
Yes.
are
You
a
are making a lot of people.
Yes.
I'm very happy.
So 341.82 points to my measly 256.22 points.
Very nice.
Very disappointing is what it is.
Narrowest victory. Last week, the victory was much narrower, coming down to the wire.
Less
within
than a point.
Within a point. Would have given the Cicadas another victory. Instead, they were only able to pick up the median win. This week goes to the Big TD Goth Girls, owner Brandon. beating out their opponent by a little more than 10 points.
Yeah, definitely a larger victory margin than last week. But, you can't always have a week in which out of 300 points, you're less than a point different.
Crazy.
That was wild. The highest score, no surprise, the TD11 Tudgays, who absolutely
Tudgays went off.
hit so many of their players this week.
Yep, 341.82, an incredible score. What's not an incredible score is the Dallas Glovers with 218.64.
Yep. Not great at all.
Our overachiever this week also goes to the TD11 Tudgays, the owner, with 341.82 out of 293.76. Absolutely outplayed. Great coaching there. And then below expectations, we have the Plano Nukes. Nick, do you want to talk about why you were below expectations this week?
Yeah, so I was projected 298.98 points, and I only got 256 of those, which was not ideal. I mean, that's like 50 points underperforming. I mean, that's brutal.
Who were your biggest underperformers? Was it just your defense?
Oh, my defense as a whole. I mean, it really wasn't that any one player did exceptionally bad. It was that all the players did bad.
That's right.
In their own special way.
That's right. Nobody really showed up for you. So now we will take you into the Week 2 standings. We'll go from top to bottom. Castle Rock Rockers this week lost to CD's Nuts 284.064 to 321.66. They did take the median game. By them, I mean me. We are 2-2 now, so still a middling team. CD's Nuts, they took the median and they took the win this week, coming back from their 0-2 start. The Plano Nukes had 256.22, but unfortunately they ran into the buzzsaw this week that was the TD11 Tudgays with 341.82 points. They now rose to 4-0. Another 4-0 team, the Irving Indica, 338, beat out the Flower Mountain team. Another big game, almost winning by 80 points, putting the Flower Mountain team to 2-2. Nick, do you want to take these last two?
Yeah, so the Atlanta Cicada winning with 265.88 points against the Dallas Clovers, who are now 0-4, not looking too great for them. Big TD Goth Girls beat Point Break FC in that narrow victory that we were talking about, 276.8 to 265, swinging the Big TD Goth Girls up 4-0 and putting Point Break FC down to 0-4.
Yeah, I kind of want to talk about Big TD Goth Girls real quick. They've been very efficient in their team management. They've been coaching really well. I wonder where the buck stops. I don't know how long they're going to be able to keep that up.
Right.
A 4-0 start is great, but when you're scoring, 276 points, it's definitely not going to, keep up for that long.
Right.
But we'll see. And then, the TD11 Tudgays looking incredible. Atlanta Cicadas took a big hit this week after, scoring a lot of points last week. Plano Nukes still down there. Castle Rock Rockers, probably the most consistent, scoring 281 last week, 284 this week.
Yep.
Do you have any final thoughts?
Last week I made a claim that I was going to win the league, and it looks like we're all right on schedule. We're 0-4 currently, so.
That's right. You can't come back if you're not down. Right?
Exactly. I mean, no one likes the undefeated win. No one likes that guy. It's like the Patriots. I'm not a Patriots guy.
That's right.
It's ridiculous.
If you were going to choose someone to go undefeated out of the TD11 Tudgays, Irving Indica, and Big TD Goth Girls, who would be your Week 2 choice?
Oh, 100% Irving Indica.
Yeah, 100% agree.
That team is phenomenal. TD11 Tudgays, also a very strong team. I think I'm with you on the Big TD Goth Girls. See, the funny thing is when you look at it, their max points for is not as high as you'd expect for that sort of team. And so unless they're going to be able to continue to manage themselves at that sort of high level, they're going to start dropping games.
Yeah, agreed. And then out of our 0-4 teams, who do you think will end up with the lowest? And do you think anybody will go 0-17? Well, I guess
it would be 0-34.
34.
Wow. I'd be shocked, honestly, because they play each other. And so I think you're just going to have swings and take games off of each other.
Oh,
so,
sure.
I mean, we'll just have to see. That'll definitely be something to look out for. I can't see any of those teams actually going 0-34, though.
And who would you choose at the bottom of that list between the Clovers, Point Break, and yourself?
Oh, man. As of right now, honestly, I'd have to go with the Clovers. I think that the biggest issue that the Clovers have currently is that they got destroyed by injuries.
Yep.
And are just not having a good run of things with prospects that really should be hitting, but are just not panning out. Something that, it happens. It's so unlucky, and it's just decimating the Clovers' fantasy hopes this season.
Yeah, a couple shoddy coaching decisions as well this week definitely hurt them.
Where is Aiden Hutchinson?
Right. So hopefully, it is week 2. They can bounce back from that. And then out of our middling teams right now, we've got the Castle Rock Rockers, CD's Nuts, and the Atlanta Cicadas. Who do you see trending up, and who do you see trending down for the coming weeks?
I definitely see the Cicadas trending up. I think that they are having some injury issue right now.
A lot of injuries. I mean, TJ Watt's out for the season.
Doesn't look like it's out for the season, just for a few weeks.
Really?
Yeah. So I think that once some of their players start coming back, I think going into the season, Cicadas were my favorite to win.
Mine as well.
So I'm, of course, going to go with them. I think once they get all that sorted out, they're going to be on the up and up.
Yeah, especially after losing a game to the Irving Indica by less than a point, showing that you can stay up there with the big dogs and go crazy. I mean, I agree. I think the Atlanta Cicadas are going to trend up. That would be my pick as well out of those 3. And then out of the Rockers and CD's Nuts, who do you think is trending down?
Ooh, it has to be the Rockers. Sorry, but CD's Nuts is going up, if anything. And, I don't see scoring below 300 against this sort of field is going to get you too far.
Yeah, definitely. With 2 back-to-back weeks of 280 performances. Based on our medians, I'm still in that low range. Luckily, I was able to get it this week, but the week prior, our median was in the 300s. So I do think that's tough. I think CD's Nuts really hit on some crazy players last week and some crazy players this week. So I think it's, again, there's consistency and then there's a big hitter. So I think it's amazing that both of them are right in the middle.
100%.
Yeah. Awesome. So that's going to be it for week 2 of the BAAD Owners Fantasy Matchup Recap. If you guys want, go ahead down, hit that subscribe button. Let us know in the comments. Again, if you have any opinions on the teams this week, if you guys think that Aiden Hutchinson should have been played, if you think that Jamar Chase will bounce back next week, any of your hot sports opinions, let us know. Anything from you, Nick?
Just remember, the plan on nukes are 0-4 now. But y'all, no one else is gonna be laughing other than me when we go undefeated for the rest of the season.
That's right. Let's just start the meme now.
All right, see y'all.
See you guys.